Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for this week's edition of Blue Water Diamond League's Otter Talk. I'm your host, Isaac. Alongside me is my co-host, Alt Battery. Say hello.
Hi, everybody. Excited for week 5 of Blue Water Diamond.
And for today's guests, we have a bit of a prize here this time around. We have Toomey who's in. Welcome in, Toomey. Yeah, Toomey.
Woohoo!
Got a
Yeah.
lot of things kind of running around about you on this show. That we'll go in for a little bit. But our other guest today is the jungler of TPF Tempest, Carbill.
Hello,
So,
I'm Carbill. I'm the jungler.
yeah, and so the first order of business I kind of wanted to go to is because you two played each other last week, or I guess Toomey was the coach, so he didn't necessarily play, but still, both your teams faced each other last week. So, just initial thoughts about how that went down. Anything you want to share about the matchup that came up? Oh, Battery, feel free to.
I mean, it was a good
as
match.
well.
The TPF, like I said in week 2, week 3, that TPF Tempest were going to be a team that I was kind of excited for, as maybe a team that was outside of our suggested top 3 that we had coming into the season. And so far, despite some change-ups, they've brought in Olympian. And I think now with a couple weeks under their belt, this team is starting to kind of get on that track of potentially being. I know that our power rankings, a lot of us didn't really have TPS Tempest coming in, making it into top 6. I think with the improvements that they're making week on week with the series that they just had against Akuma, it may not look like it if you just look at the series scoreline or if you're just looking at the post game screens, but actually watching the games, this was at least this game 1 was pretty close between these two. And I mean, look, Akuma. Toomey can probably maybe attest to this. Akuma have not been, having the cleanest games back to back, but as they said on Otter Talk, they'll do anything for a win, even if it means ruining the game for a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the specialty. We did it last split too. It's like we were just unable to take the game serious for some reason, even though we should be. Like game 2 was I definitely thought a loss. I let support
yeah,
pick Pike instead of, locking a front line for Ivern. And we're gonna hit Bilal with the belt here. Belt on
the
the cheeks
Nastus,
there.
the Nautilus,
Yeah.
Leona, Braum. Okay,
Exactly.
okay,
He's on tank duty from now on. He played super
right.
well. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
19
yeah. I mean,
much
I
better.
gave him my Player of the Week for support. So
Yeah.
if you didn't already see in Blue Water Diamond general chat, I did make a top 1 of Players of the Week from each role that is going to be in the server, and that'll be on Otter Talk next week. Just it turns out jump scaring and trying to ambush your graphic designer a day and a half before the show, not a great idea to get things done. Before we kind of move on, Carbill, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. I know it kind of feels a little bit weird to go from the first place undefeated team being like, we can't take this game seriously, and for you guys, if I look at your record currently, you guys are currently like 7th, and you're like, this was a really good game. I know I was talking to Chief a little bit about what's going on with the team. Kind of talk about your experience from that series, because it was a pretty close one, all things considered.
Honestly, that series was really fun. I had a blast playing it. But the first match was definitely not it. The second match I felt was very close. We had a very bad Baron call, and I didn't agree with that. But overall, it was still pretty good. Like I was quite happy with my performance.
Yeah,
And like
just
the team
may I offer a piece of advice for your mid laner?
yeah.
You need to tell him to move more, bro. This guy just sits in
Yo.
lane and does nothing. I already told this to me. I don't know if your
Man, I
team
know,
has told you.
dude.
All right.
I know.
I told Vailder he needs to get out of mid lane already, because this guy's actually just like copy pasta sitting in mid doing nothing. Him and I already had to talk. So hopefully
we worked
hopefully
on
both
that.
of you.
We
All right.
worked on that this week. There's gonna be a
Hey,
lot of
you know,
wave 9
he may need,
dives.
he was a little afraid to press the TP button in that game too. But we're gonna move on. I think we need to move on. We talked a bit in terms of games from last week. I know we had So just in general, going over what happened last week, Omega Goobers versus XG Leviathan, that went to 3 games. We have Marz versus the Four Wards, 2-0 versus Art of War. Final boss Diamond ended up losing against Grown Boys Clique. Do we think a little bit of downfall here, potentially? Elysium Ares, 2-1 over Kediment, and Akuma Sabers, obviously, with you guys here, you already know that one. So really, I think the big one for me, the Grown Boys Clique versus Final Boss Diamond, as those are 2 teams that I think currently, in terms of the public size and from what we've been able to see, should be fighting for top 3, top 4. So anything kind of surprising coming from that game from you guys?
I honestly am not shocked that Grum Boys Click won. In all honesty, because we've been doing a little bit of scrimming and like it's been going like really well. They're really good at the game. Like I respect a lot of them. I won't. There's some things I won't say, but honestly, they're really good at the game, and I enjoy versing them. In all honesty.
Cool. Timmy?
Yeah, I think I'm not shocked to see Final Boss kind of slipping a little bit. I think if you want to talk about mid laners that like are terrified of moving, I think Mr. Cool Jace needs to maybe try and get into side lanes because he does lane really well.
Yes.
And like he's super good at laning. It's just the advantage stays in the one lane instead of going bot lane, getting a double, going top lane, getting your top ahead. He's a good player. He really needs to like affect the map more, I guess.
Sure. That has been my whole complaint for mid lane in this tournament. It's just our mid laners. As soon as they see Fog of War, they get a little afraid. They're like, I don't know, maybe the jungler
can't
is
walk
there.
bot lane.
I can't walk bot. Dude, I was talking to Vilder about this, and Vilder's like, but there's a mid wave here. Like, I'm like, dude, just drop it. Drop it. Imagine enemy bots can't play with 2 All right, I'm getting off track. I'm getting frustrated when I think about this. Okay, so going in, let's kind of move on towards our predictions. We have this week, we have a lot of games to go through, and we are week 5, so we're basically at the midway point, if not a little bit over at this point, with our 9-week best of series. You have single limb. So top 6, we have immediately coming in Marz and the 4 awards for our first game. That's going to be our streamed match. To me, you are the lone Marz and the 4 awards defenders. You need to put up. What's up here?
I just think Marz is like a good player. Like I really focus on mid lane, and I think Marz is like a really really good player. If he gets his hands on Syndra or if he gets his hands on Ari, I think there's like a really good chance the team could win. I don't think they're like, I don't want to say as bad as their record is, but like I could see them finishing in the top 5, top 4. I think they're like a dark horse for me.
Okay. Nice. I think that's perfectly fair. Last week I had a couple of question mark pings on their games. I know that I ended up giving 2 of their players player of the week for their performance.
Makes sense.
I mean, Pillar of Autumn Amumu needs to be taken away from this guy. It's actually insane. This guy just makes magic happen on this champion for no reason. Isaac?
Yeah, I mean, I know we have mentioned, Marcion, because, it is Marz in the 4 wards, but I still think a large shout does have to go to Pillar of Autumn in that mid-jungle duo. Oftentimes it's said that mid lane isn't a solo lane and it's mid-jungle.
Yeah.
And team name, every single year in Blue Water Diamond we have that team that's last season we love Solbert. It's kind of similar idea.
Long live, bro. Long live,
dude. The Monarch Kog'Maw logo, big fan.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, I do think Pillar of Autumn. I would agree with the Pillar of Autumn mark as that player of the week in the jungler there last week, and actually he is, according to the master sheet, he is the second rated jungler in the league.
There you go.
And does have
just be the GOAT.
Does have the third third highest KDA as well. So
let's go.
You got it. You got so yeah. No, I do agree. Like maybe we could shift the team name up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Get Autumn, Marz, Autumn, and the 3 words maybe.
3 awards. Oh, he's getting a promotion. This is like when you're at a law firm, you get your name on the wall.
Yeah,
Getting a name partner. That's crazy. All right, so let's kind of move on. Carbill, I am not going to do the easy thing and tell you to defend why you think TPF is going to win. I think, in the imaginary paycheck that you're receiving, we know that you're going to be able to show for this team. So, as the lone TPF defender on the broadcast, I don't have you guys to win, but if there's ever a reason that you guys are going to do it, I think so far you guys have been showing some really great improvements. I love the fact that we are getting some really cool stuff from Olympian. I think that their first week onto the team was really nice. The second week, unfortunately, you're going up against Takuma, and Bastings did some things to that guy that were not okay. We had the Xin then the Wukong top. The Wukong top wasn't as great. I think that Basting didn't have as much impact as I think he would have wanted on a Wukong. And that game I think that series just in general was a kind of a weird one from what we got in game 1. He's super dominant on Xin Zhao. Coffee and Basting are just running top lane like over and over and over again. And Vladimir just can't do anything because Vladimir levels 1 through 3 is absolutely useless. But you guys, I think, have shown some really good things, and I said from the very beginning of the season that this league is incredibly jungler focused, especially with where we were on the patch and how teams were kind of built around some of these really strong junglers. And you coming in versus Lucas Moore, I know that was a 1 week situation, but I think so far we have seen more and more that the team just operates a lot smoother, and I think you guys have a much clearer path to victory when you are in the game versus when you're not. So I'm excited to see what you guys are able to do versus Final Boss, because they have also not been having the greatest time in terms of looking at their series score. They finally took a loss last week. Maybe we're looking to do some big game hunting.
Honestly, I'm really hoping we can take a 2-0 because I have a deal going with my support right now where if we 2-0 them, I'm gonna get EDG Viego for free. So like Viego OTP, I gotta get it. Okay. And then also we've been scrimming, like we scrimmed a lot. We know what we're looking for with our comps, and we sort of know the way we want to play out our games now. And now that we're finally getting sort of like the big picture idea, we've started playing very, very well together, and I think we're gonna do very well like this match. Yeah, the series should be really good.
Sure, I'm really excited. I'm hopeful that I get to kind of pour those VODs to Chief, who may be listening. I will watch the VODs, not just the VODs of this game, but Chief sent me some other stuff.
Don't watch the first one. Don't watch the first.
Nope, too bad. Already loaded up on my replay book. So, looking across at the rest of the matches for today, the Omega Goobers one already was played. So we get to kind of talk about the fact that Omega Goobers did take their win against Art of War. They had some spicy chat going in general chat, which was pretty fun to see. Don't think we got to talk about it too much, but I kind of wanted to look forward for some of these teams coming in, specifically for someone like Akuma, who, kind of rounding out the season. You have to imagine at this point, you guys are almost guaranteed locked for playoffs. Who are some other teams you guys are kind of expecting, since we do have you here, Toomey, to be kind of meeting alongside you as like top 3, top 4 here in the tournament?
Yeah. So I think that Ellie is like better than 2 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm pretty confident they'll make playoffs. And then Omega is obviously, I think they're gonna end up number 2 seed. I could see them pushing us to 3 games.
Yeah.
Just because their top side is like Flame is.
Dude, Flame Source.
Yeah. Source cooked my ass in ADL. So like, I thought this guy was like a Yi Jax 2 trick, but I think he's actually like pretty good at the game.
Yeah, he is.
So I'm gonna give.
You guys play against each other week 8, by the way. So
yeah,
got a little bit.
Super good game.
I do have a question about Source Walker and Masty. Is that do we think Masty will or won't be in the top 10 of Champions banned by the end of Blue Water Diamond season?
Look, I think that champ actually sucks balls. Like it's terrible.
Well, yeah.
I think he's
but Source
just, like,
Walker
he's good at
drawn
it,
a lot of bans.
It's super beatable. I think I don't know. There's some I could see TPF beating it. To be honest, I think TPF. I think I rated them too low in my power rankings. Because they did
Well,
actually.
they
I
had
thought we were
Chief,
losing
remember?
game
They had
2.
Chief top lane. You know, there was
Yeah.
some stuff that was going on there. So I think that was fair for whenever
'Cause-
you guys made yours.
Yeah, I think it's top 6 makes playoffs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Akuma, Omega, I think Grown Boys, Marz, Ellie, and TPF make
It was
playoffs.
straight up calling Final Boss Diamond.
I don't
straight
think
dog
they win
water.
another series unless
Okay,
they have to
look-
play Art of War.
Perfect,
'cause-
perfect. I wanted to talk about this because their upcoming schedule, they play against Elysium next week.
Yeah.
This week, as you can see, they are going to be playing up against Final Boss are playing against TPF Tempest.
Yeah.
Then week 7 and week 8 is going to be Kediment and
Oh, they're pretty terrible.
yeah, I know. It's Kediment and Marz. So like
Yeah.
you could say week 7 is a scheduled win, but considering what Kediment was able to do against Elysium Ares, if we're saying that Ares is better, if we're saying this Elysium team is better, maybe that was just a one-off week. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what Kediment is able to put up. You guys are playing against them today, so
Yeah, I think if TPF can beat them tonight, I think they're gonna mental boom and
Okay.
kind of flake out of playoffs. I'm like 99% sure of it. I think TPF is good. Like I swear to God,
Yeah.
I thought we were losing. I was prepping draft for game 3.
Mhm.
Like I thought we were losing game 2 for sure. They were pushing us pretty good.
yeah, I know that was a fun series. I wish everybody else could watch these games, man. I'm so sad that there's no raffle files for everybody. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way, I think there's not too much out of the ordinary from what I see here from what we got. So I think we can kind of move a little bit along, kind of looking forward to kind of the rest of the league as a whole, and maybe even our match of today. We're going to be streaming Grown Boys Clique versus Marz later today after Otter Talk, and this should be, I think, a pretty interesting match, especially because we are talking about these two teams as potentially being top 3, top 4. There's a lot at stake here when you look at their future matchups. Grown Boys Clique after this, going up against Omegas, Elysium, TPF, and then Art of War. While we have Marz, who in the future are going to be playing against TPF, Akuma, Final Boss, and Mint. So I think if specifically for Marz, if they can kind of clear out these last 3 weeks, they can very easily they're already should be in position to be able to make playoffs at this point, being 2-2 at this moment. So imagine they get 3 wins, they're at 5, they take another loss, then you have 5-3, 5-9, not bad, or 5-4, sorry.
Yeah, I can see Marz. I think we have to play them still, right? Like you were saying. Do we play them?
You
Have
do.
we already
You
played
do.
them? Okay. I
Week
think that's their
7.
only, scheduled loss, we'll call it. But I could see them. They're good. It's really. I'm not sure how TPF will do because I was a big fan of. I mean, mid should have moved a lot more for jungle because Carbil's Lee Sin was kind of running the map for a little bit there, and I think if mid moved a little bit more, if they can work on that in scrims, I could see TPF winning out. So then Marz is kind of 4-5 instead of 5-4. So I don't know. It's tough to say. I think the playoffs will be pretty good for the bottom. I think even 3-6 will get really interesting towards the end.
Yeah. Timmy, I did want to ask. You're already saying that Final Boss are not going to be. They're not. They do play you guys next week.
Yeah. Oh, I think it'll
And-
be a 2-0, sub 30 minute both games.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
They're
All
super
right.
easy to read, right? So LL Cool J's, when we played him last split, when I was playing mid, the guy gets a triple kill 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And I remember the whole team was laughing after it because the dude just does nothing with the gold he gets. So
Oh, no.
I think his top side is pretty decent. Dude, I don't want to sound like a hater, and I don't mean
You
to sound
should.
like a hater.
That's what
but,
Otter Talk is for, bro.
The
Just-
guy is just infuriating. He's got the most gold, but then he just sits mid lane, and then as soon as the wave hits the turret, the guy's terrified. He's shaking in his boots. Meanwhile, I'm bot lane killing. It just you hope a guy would do more with it. So I have no faith in that team. I think they're the fakest team in the league. Again,
Okay.
I think TPF. I don't know why I put them to win. I think I forgot I played TPF.
Do
last
we
week.
want to do power rankings? Let's just pull these up so we have them
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
screen instead of looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
we can take a
yeah.
look at the power rankings, but yeah. Toomey, What the hell,
Yeah.
man? In 8th place? I mean, mine's not better. I have them in 7th.
Right.
I have them in 6th.
Dude, I meant TPF is above Art of War. But again, I think the only thing that swaps is if TPF wins tonight, they're 6th. I'm blocking it and guaranteed. They're going to make the playoffs. Final
Okay.
boss doesn't. Art of War is terrible. I got to be honest. I think them and Ketamint, that'll be like the
You're so real, bro.
Dignitas versus Renegades. You know what I mean? Like that.
the Dignitas
Yeah.
and Immortals.
Yeah,
type
dude. It's
Yeah.
like unwatchable.
Oh
you know
my
what
god.
I mean?
It's
Oh
you know,
my gosh,
look,
that-
last week, despite having the band of mercenaries that Ketamint had for their roster, low key they were kind of cooking. I think it was playable. I like the idea of what they were going for. Their execution, as you said, kind of sucks.
It's
But it's-
terrible.
But like, there's light in the house, you know, like the lights are on, just not everything's plugged in. That's the problem. I really kind of want to see if Ketamint can kind of pull it off. They've been slowly getting wins, right? Because they start off the season extremely winless, 0 PR, no homes, but they're 0-4. They've got some games. I think it's possible. Once you start to win one game, there's proof that you can win a second one, right? Because if you
Yeah.
can't win any games, then it's just GG. Like there's
think-
actually just nothing to play for.
Ketamint and Art of War. I'm not sure if anyone watched like the Team Liquid game today, but they're kind of like APA's Nico Alt. You know what I mean? Where it's like he sees all 4, man. He's gonna flash that wall. He's gonna win the game. NA's gonna win Worlds, and then they flash into the wall. They solo Nico Alt, the rel support. They get
It's the Door
wiped.
and
They
Flash,
lose
bro.
the game. Like it's
The Door and
just
Flash from last
it's the
year.
Door and Flash, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say that's how I feel about Art of War, unfortunately. I think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, for a team that has kind of continued to move around pieces, this lineup is kind of not working for whatever reason. And I know only the people who were in the series last week saw it, but I think someone on that team may have put up a protest in the middle of the game. If you've seen the game, you know. If you don't, then you'll just have to find out at some point later down in the season. But kind of looking at our predictions, Isaac, is there anything that's kind of coming out to you? I know we haven't really kind of come to you in a little bit, but I think we're mostly in line.
I mean, nothing too much. I know I've been the I guess standout XG like booster here,
Mhm.
but like especially after I don't know after last week's games, I my thing with them. I have this whole thing written down. I just wrote XG are a team of moments. If that makes sense. Where like they'll have like they'll win fight. I don't know. Like they'll win fights, but then somehow like they'll like across the map they'll still be like level on gold despite having like an extra 20 kills and whatnot. And it's like, okay, wait, how are we still level in gold? And you have to like go back and research through it. And so on one hand, I have a soft spot for XG because I love their name, XG Leviathan, as a football manager player. If you know, you know. But yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I'm no big coach and like how to like necessarily fix that, but yeah, no, I'd like to see more moments from XG, but relying on moments to like win you games is not the
I
way.
will say last week is probably just not the most fun when I'm watching Flame up 30 CS on like almost every matchup versus Rover. I hate to do Ranger Jackson, Sir Jackson like this. I saw Vi sit in bot brush for 1 minute total, just back to back, just standing there. That one hurt my soul. I was very
Also,
sad
I have
about
a
that game.
question. How in the
What's up?
world did Blue Side get Olaf into Gragas top?
First pick Olaf, and then we just picked Gragas into it. It must be okay. I don't know. We don't have the draft because unfortunately
Yeah.
Fearless draft went down.
Yeah, no.
I mean, a blue side Olaf counter was pretty insane.
Yeah.
And that's that game in particular. That entire series kind of is like a Flame resume builder. I think that his Gnar was really excellent. He had some individual flubs. The Aatrox that he played kind of solidified my idea of Flame, which so far, when we look at top laners, I think our top two top laners have to be Basting and Flame. You can make arguments for top three who you want. I think a really based pick would be Dwomni from Marz. I think he's been playing top lane really, really well. If you're kind of going just based off of standings and you want to be that kind of person, you're probably going to be saying someone either is going to be Shaktis or one of our other teams. I think, yeah, I mean, or Nutty Nate, but I haven't been super impressed with Nutty Nate. I think they're completely average, probably going to be my like 5th or 6th top laner in the league. And I'm looking at, like, I'm just watching Flame play in a way that I think the thing for Flame is that very, very good individual on his lane. I feel always is kind of squeezing a lot on the opponent, making sure that they can't get an advantage. But specifically in that game too, I think is in a situation where maybe he realizes, hey, my team is not always in the best situations, whether it's coming out of lane or starting up a team fight. So may have to overextend himself, either kind of saying, look, I have to be strong. I have to be really, really strong. I'm playing Gnar, I'm playing Aatrox, I'm playing Olaf. I need to get gold. So you guys just need to be able to figure out how to not lose without me being there. Because when he does get there, Flame, for the most part, I think executes really, really well on team fights and always is able to carry an individual lead from his lane coming into later into the game. So I'm really excited to see what Flame is going to kind of turn out as we get further in the season, and especially what we were talking about. I just want to get to this week 8 match. Like, if I could time travel, I just want to see a Mega Goobers versus Akuma. That right there, I just want to watch top lane, lock in my camera, call it a day.
We need a petition Dory for that to be the script for the.
Maybe look, I'll ask, especially since we're going into playoffs. We got a lot of points kind of trickling on through. That is also another thing. I know we were talking about record, and record can be very overriding. But if you get a certain amount of points, if you were talking about it, where one of these matchups from weeks 1 through 4 could be the reason one of these teams doesn't make it into playoffs. So let's do this, kind of close out Otter Talk. If there is one surprise team that maybe we don't expect to make playoffs, let's kind of call our shot here. So, Toomey, I'm going to start with you. What is a team that I think people would expect? I think I already kind of know your answer, but if you want to kind of just give it up, what team do you think is not going to be making playoffs that everyone else expects to?
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not trying to sound like such a hater, but I don't think Final Boss they have the privilege of being 3-1 because they've played against Art of War and Ketamint so far.
Correct.
So again, I think tonight is like the decider on if they're frauds or not. I could see TPF beating them pretty easily because they've gotten better throughout the split. Yeah, I don't think they're the same team that lost Art of War. I mean, they're completely different, But it's either them or even Grown Boys. I could see missing, but the other 4 I think are pretty locked in my eyes.
All right, cool. Carbill, how are we feeling?
In all honesty, like, I haven't watched any of the games, like, other than the ones I've played. So I'm very not in the know with what these teams are doing and, like, how they've been practicing and, like, where their final positions are going to be. So I just sort of, like, threw the teams that I've been seeing a lot of good things said at the top, and then threw everyone else that I versed that was sort of badged at the bottom, because we could have beaten Art of War 2-0, and that was just, like, sort of an unlucky. I had IRL shit happen, so I couldn't finish the game out. And then Ketamint was just meh. It was sort of bad. I honestly, like, it was bad. And then I don't really know. Like, I think the final positions, like, that's like how it's gonna be. Like, in all honesty.
So mine, I did the thing where basically the only time I'm going to change my power rankings coming into the season are going to be at the very beginning. Obviously, when I submit them, week 5, I'm going to move a single team anywhere I want. And then at the end of the season, going into playoffs, I think we kind of already know what our teams are going to look like, right? Because it's already the end of the season. Yeah. So the only change that I've made to my predictions are going to be, you see Art of War in 8th. I did have them at 6th very early on into the season. I thought maybe this roster could kind of do something. I liked the direction that they were going for, but it's just not working. And I think we're seeing a lot of really, really weird things happen in the game that make me not happy. They make me very sad when I watch, because I think that there are some really cool spots on this team that are unfortunately going to waste. So I moved them down to 8th, going from 6th, so it does move up to TPF Tempest and Elysium, but obviously I think I should have just stuck with my guns and put TPF a little bit higher. But I'm only going to move one team, because I feel like there's like a certain point where you reach that like a critical mass of like maybe by like week 6 or week 7, the standings are basically locked for the next 2 weeks, barring like a massive like set of upsets. So I think that I'm going to keep it like this. Isaac, is there a team that you just think isn't going to be making playoffs? That is maybe from our alleged top 6.
Well, I mean, somebody isn't, because there's definitely like a top, I'd say 4 right now, and then like the next 3, and then the bottom 3 I think is pretty safe to say. I know Toomey might disagree with including Marz in the 4 wards and making it like a top 5, but the general gist holds true. Like, despite my week 2 prediction of Art of War Esports making playoffs, I take that back. I don't take it back. Because I like, with the information at the time, I still would have gone with that prediction, and I still believed in it given the information at the time. But I think it's pretty clear that XG, Kediment, and Art of War are kind of at a different quality level to like TPF, Elysium, and well, there's some dispute on Marz in the 4 wards, but still. So I'd say there's definitely the top 7, and since only 6 teams make playoffs, unfortunately one of them's not going to.
Which one is it, Isaac?
Which one is it? Which one is it?
I'm not letting you get out of this. You got to pick here. You have
I'm going to say. Ooh. Sorry, Cardbill. I'm going to say TPF Tempest.
Oh. It's okay, Cardbill. I'll switch you in for Elysium. It's okay.
No, I'd say it's a toss up between those two. Like,
okay.
Honestly, it could go either way. If TPF makes it, not surprised at all.
Yeah. Just trying to take a look if TPF maybe plays. Week 8, TPF versus Elysium. So a lot of week 8 bangers.
Yeah.
Week 8 just has all of the scheduling of doom. Okay, so we're kind of wrapping up on time here. Timmy, Carbill, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about before we kind of let you guys go? Otherwise, I'm going to let you guys kind of do your shout outs, do whatever calls you want to do before we close out the show and get ready for the games.
We need the Toomey's Turtwig segment.
Oh God.
Okay. We need it. This is the moment, Toomey. I know, week 1, the shiny Turtwig. How's that going
along? It took 4,500 resets to get.
Jesus.
And then because I did it for so long, dude, I got him to level 22. I got a Grottle, and I stopped playing the game.
Goat.
It's just, but I did just fine. My Game Boy SP with a Pokemon Ruby.
Oh, hell yeah, man! That's
so I think I'm gonna shiny hunt a Trico or maybe a Torchic, because Mudkip's kind of overrated in my eyes.
Respect.
Wait,
True.
Yeah, guys, I know.
No, that's my favorite
dude.
Pokemon, bro.
I know, but dude, Trico
Trico
gets like turquoise. It's so dope, dude.
Trico got me in trouble in elementary school, so respect to the goat.
Oh, yeah,
that guy, all speed. You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay, Carbill, to me, let's kind of do it like this. Carbill, is there any shout-outs you want to do before your games today?
Yeah, Nahor from Grumboy's Clique. He's my favorite support player to ever exist. Like,
okay.
I'm sorry, but it's true. And like, I just love that team. They're awesome.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yeah. Timmy, any shout-outs you want to do?
Of course. Shout out to Coffee. He's my brother. Got me on the team. Now he made me coach. It's amazing. I'm a Nepo baby. I love it.
Let's go.
I want to shout out to my Twink support, Bilal. You're the goat. My Ginger 80 carry, Matt G. I know if you guys aren't Ginger, now I've got some red hair. When you are Ginger, you get bullied throughout school, because you're Ginger. And so having Matt G be an 80 carry in this meta, when he's been bullied his whole life for being Ginger, it's so good for us, we can put
So
this
you just
guy on
double down on
Ash.
the double DD?
Exactly, dude.
Nice,
And
man.
so like we can put him on Ash. We give him an Aphelios game. You know, we tell him he looks good that day, but right back on the Ash, right back on the Jin. You know, shout out to the Mets. Like the Mets.
Yes.
And yeah, my drug addict old coach, Daniel Alive Binder. He's the one who taught me the Wave 9 crash. Shout out to that guy.
Oh my god.
But other than that, good luck to the rest of the boys in the league. We'll
Okay.
see you in playoffs.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so thank you to Toomey and Carbill of Akuma and TPF respectively. I'm gonna let you guys go. Good luck on your games, GLHF. Have a lot of fun. And when we're back, we're gonna be here with Grown Boys Clique versus Marz in the 4 awards. Don't want to miss it.
Woohoo!
Yippee.
Welcome in, everybody, for Blue Water's Diamond League here in Week 5. This match today we're presenting to you is between Grown Boys Clique and Marz and the Four Wards. I'm Isaac. Alongside me is Alt Battery today for the cast.
Yay, we're having fun.
Yeah!
Got a lot of stuff to do. It was a really awesome Otter Talk. If you didn't see it, you can go back and watch it whenever you have a break. It was a really fun episode with Toomey and Carbill. But getting into this match right now, Grown Boys Clique versus Marz should be a pretty good one, considering the fact that these are two teams that are really close to each other in the standings. Grown Boys at 4th, Marz at 5th. One game separating either of these teams right here. So this right here could break in and kind of be our de facto top 4 key matchup.
Yeah, and especially since with playoffs and we're actually officially halfway through the season. I guess it'd be after this one. I guess it would be technically after kind of game 1, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because we have 9 weeks. So anyway, the point is that as we start heading into the back half of the season, and since there are only the top 6 teams that do qualify for playoffs. The getting into that top 4 does secure that first round bye, which does help a lot. I'd say.
I think really interesting as we kind of get through the first part of this draft. We already have Ivern, Udyr, Syndra taken away by Grown Boys Clique, and for Marz, Zillion, Oriana, and Ashe. Some kind of staple champions that we've been expecting. And for Grown Boys Clique, I was wondering what their entrance into this kind of match was going to be, because so far throughout a lot of their history they've been playing a lot of red side. They only have 4 blue side games out of 10, out of 10, and most of them have been looking to first pick AD carry. They've been doing Ezreal, they've been doing Jinx, especially on red side as well. They've been immediately responding with their bot side, and we have to imagine that this Gwen is going to be going towards Drid. He has been playing predominantly a lot of farm style kind of junglers that are heavier in resources, but tend to really carry later on into the game. We've even seen this happen last time we got to see Drid on the stream. He was playing stuff like the Hecarim, and he was absolutely running the game. So really interested to see what they're able to do with this. As Marz and 4 Wards, the response could be a little bit interesting. I expect for them to be going for something with a little bit more engaged, something that potentially opens up their jungler, Pillar of Autumn, and already they're picking the Amumu with the Ziggs.
I mean, you covered it on Otter Talk, but you said just don't give Pillar of Otter? Hey,
Pillar of Otter, he's sponsored now. He's sponsored.
Yeah, sponsored. Totally, definitely not actually sponsored by Blue Otter, but Pillar of Autumn. You said don't give him a Mumu, and yeah, hard to agree. Especially last week, we saw Marz pop off against Art of War. And part of
it's just been a champion he's been popping off with every week. Like every week he's able to get this champion thanks to, us being in Fearless. It's just something that I don't think needs to be banned, but it's really strong. So I like this. Now, again, we've been seeing more and more Ziggs. Despite the nerf, this champion is really strong. Also, 80 carry items got touched on this patch, so mages just in general are very strong. I wonder, now with this answer, I was going to say, if they're going to lock in the Karma Ezreal, I think you can maybe kind of keep the Ziggs, maybe you kind of pair it with a Nautilus or a Braum, but because we've already now have the Azir, this could be an answer for Marz and the 4 Wards. They have been a very big proponent of trying to pick up Jhin in their games, so I wonder if this is going to be their answer, if they're going to try to go for it, try to take the counter into Azir, but instead they're going to take Yone, who is one of the strongest champions on the patch, and you give someone like Marzion the ability to outplay and play on side lanes like this. Could be one where we're set up for Marz to be able to take it to Grown Boys Clique, who is right now above them in the standings.
I mean, you'd say they are above them in the standings, but I mean, it's honestly so close.
Yeah, they are.
At this point,
I mean, if we were going off of points, right? Like they're 1 point away from each other.
Yeah.
So again, this is our match to see who actually is our top 4, because the schedules don't get much easier after this. We are in week 5. We only got 4 weeks of gameplay left, and I would say Grown Boys Clique schedule is significantly easier than Marz. Marz have Akuma, and they have Final Boss, and they have Tempest next week. GBC, they've got Omega,
Goobers, TPF, and Sabers.
Yeah, I mean,
it's basically identical. I'd say
no. Grown Boys Clique already played against Akuma. So yeah. That's what I was saying. Marz, they're playing TPF, Akuma, and Final Boss. GBC, they're playing Omega, they're playing Elysium, and they're playing TPF.
I must have had that wrong. My bad. Or maybe
That's all good.
who knows? There's some difference in the notes. Not quite sure how that one came to be. Either way, moving into the second round of picks. Oh, Bard, yes, please do it. Do it.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I don't like
Uh.
I don't like this response coming out from Marz. I think we've already seen what Ziggs Rakan can do in lane. We got to see this actually last week. There's just no prio in terms of the lane. They don't do a ton of damage together. Rakan isn't as reliable with being able to lock down the opponent. And now you're playing into Alistar and Ezreal. It's a really strong lane matchup. Gromboy's Clique now also get themselves Renekton, so they can play for bottom side if they really want to. They can let this Alistar roam. They can let Nahor take over the rest of the map. And for Gwen, getting 6 grubs is going to be super, super dangerous. If you can get this champion with one item, you get a lot of early damage thanks to some of the changes to mage items. She can solo Baron by herself. She's a very powerful champion on this patch, so expecting to see from Marz, what are you looking for a topside matchup? It has to be something that not only can deal with Gwen, but also can match Renekton in terms of what he's able to bring for a team fight and early game prowess. And Jax has some of that skirmishing power, but I just don't know if it's enough, especially when you look at how low range the rest of Marz and the 4 wards are. They are so reliant on this Amumu Rakan package.
Yeah, they are reliant on it, but I mean, if they do, it is going to be hard, especially Ezreal being Ezreal and Azir also being able to keep the opposition at length. I feel like if that wasn't what they were running into, I wouldn't mind it as much. But yeah, Jax, it'll be tough for Marz in the forwards. That being said, they do at the very least have the ability to come from multiple directions fairly easily.
That's if they're even or ahead, right? You only really
Yeah.
get that option if you get to an objective and you're able to set up and you're able to find TP flank wards that aren't swept out. If you're behind, that's absolutely miserable. Trying to find a flank ward or trying to find a flank is really, really difficult. So kind of what I want to see from Marz and the 4 wards is kind of continue more of that strategy that we've seen, which is playing 4 mid, allowing Marzion to kind of have a solid laning phase, get out of lane, play for your 2 side lanes now. We're going to have Jax and Yone, and Amumu can just sit mid where you have Amumu and Rakan just kind of ghosting these guys, sitting behind them, sitting in Fog of War, ready to play for them, letting them get solo experience and gold, but then also protecting them and potentially turning numbers disadvantaged fights into ones that are really in their favor. I think for Marz on the 4 wards, Dwamni has been a pretty standout top laner. I talked about him during Otter Talk. One of the stronger top laners, despite maybe not being on the best team or having necessarily the best individual performance. I think Dwamni has been really, really good for what he brings to this team, especially with that kind of pocket Camille that he's been able to pull out a couple times. So I'm looking forward to what he can take up against Nutty Nate, because Nutty Nate has been a player that can hold their own in top lane, has had some pretty solid performances all around, but I think maybe missing some of that firepower that we're expecting from a top 4, top 3 team.
Yeah, Nutty Nate definitely has been definitely one of the I guess. How do I put this without just absolutely flaming?
He's a bit quieter.
He's quieter.
He's a bit of a quieter player.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. He's definitely not like you wouldn't really want to see him on something like I don't know what's been kind of super carried top lane. I mean not so much this patch, but I know Smolder top was kind of something we saw in at least in 14-18. I don't exactly wouldn't want to see Nutty down on that, but considering that he is definitely towards that weaker side of the map. It is a little slight concern because we did mention about Marz and the 4 wards. If they do get ahead, they definitely can find that angle, and if there is certainly a way that they can push that advantage, it'd be through Nutty Nate. But I mean, we could point out all the ways that Marz on the 4 wards, if they do get ahead, that they can close the gap on this Azir Ezreal. However, it is Azir Ezreal into a team that wants to run into you on the opposite side. So
if they can, they're gonna have to be able to get ultimates out. If they can get the Azir ultimate out before a team fight, that could be something they could look for. So looking for me in terms of windows that we kind of see teams go to trade for, Grown Boys Clique are obviously very, very strong with being able to receive and engage. They have a bunch of champions that can either outstand or get out of the way of the engage from Marz. So if they're on an objective, I think it'll be pretty difficult to see where Marz and the forwards can kind of hold them, just because at that point they're stuck up against the wall. And for Marz and the forwards, I want to see them in positions before a fight. I want to see them looking to try to take trades before an objective, get a TP out, get a summoner spell out, force someone to recall, so you can get into a really good advantage state, making sure that you can actually, let someone like Jax, let someone like Yone actually kind of do the things that they want to do in a game. Aside from that, I think this is a game that's going to come down to execution, obviously, and for Marz and the forwards, it's a little bit tougher. Range is one of the biggest ways to be able to outmaneuver your opponent, and this is a team composition that is really relying, again, on those engaged champions that you have with the Amumu and the Rakan to get a lot of heavy lifting done.
Oh. Hold on.
Oh.
I'm done. Here, give me...
I was going to say, the game hasn't even started and we're already choking. That's kind of insane.
Okay,
I was waiting for Marz and the forwards to play.
No, that was genuinely just me, something like kind of stuck in my throat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I wasn't trying to make any sort of choking analogy or anything.
We can wait until the game. If at 15 minutes it happens, we can replay that. We can just go.
Guys, if I'm not back after the spectator delay, it means I'm dead. And I've officially choked on something. But I am actually better now, and that will very likely not be the case. But until then, with that in mind, I do believe we will send it to a spectator delay, and when we come back, we will have loaded onto the rift between Grown Boys Clique and Marz and the forwards. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Six, 7, 8.
Oh.
Oh.
Hello, everybody.
Whoa, that's yeah, welcome back. We're on to the rift for game 1 between Grown Boys Clique and Marz and the forwards. Yeah, and straight away just 5-point start ready to come out. So
Don't think we're going to be seeing too much. Big thing that we'll be taking a look at is these two junglers. For Drid, has a lot of combat power early on compared to some of the other farming junglers early on. I would consider this more akin to an AP Viego style build. You're not necessarily going for trying to get those resets, obviously, but with Gwen, she does have a lot of early power, and I like this already. They're pulling up their support. They want to go for an early invade. They want to see if they can not only take away a camp, if they can try to split open this top side of the map, make it very easy for someone like Drid to play. If you have access to both of these camps, it immediately opens you up to play for those Krubs, which is, again, something very, very powerful when you have Renekton. Should be something we look for.
Yeah, one thing about that, though, is Alistair's level 1. I mean, it did
Like a
give him
Mumu
some
level 1, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, true. I mean, especially on that jungle, Mumu won't be leveling the bandage tossed first. But no, I mean, Alistar just doesn't even have that option, like, at all to really threaten much. I mean, it is a trait of vision at the very least. Junglers starting on the same side of the map.
And they'll
Where do
be
you want to send
spotted.
this one?
So both of them are going to be starting on the bottom side, like you were saying, but they're also obviously spotted at this point. So within the next 30 seconds, I think it'll be very clear to both teams. So looking at that Raptor ward for the side of Grumboy's Clique, you're thinking, okay, look, if he doesn't show up, then hey, he's pathing towards top side. Both of our junglers are actually doing this, and Dwamni immediately on this Jax, just running all over Nutty Nate. He cannot step up to the wave. If he actually finishes his recall, it's really doomed for top lane, because the wave is coming towards him, but imagine 45 seconds from now, Gwen is going to already be on her way over here. She's going to be finished with camps, and Nutty Nate's either going to have to knowably have to have his TP to come back and assist for that, or, I mean, Amumu could show up at the same time, right? This could be a very dangerous situation for GBC if they don't navigate this correctly.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how that top side of the map, I mean, you were bigging up Dwamni and how Nutty Nate's definitely more of a weak side player there. Give me a second. I have a slight issue. I had a spectator thing go wrong for me. So.
Okay, well, either way, right now what we're kind of seeing,
up.
Nutty Nate is also going to take his recall. He's going to TP now back to top lane, not able to buy anything. Buys a single refillable potion. And Drid is just now finishing his clear. We can take a look at topside, what the lane kind of looks like. It's really hard pushed in his favor, and it's going to bounce back towards Dwamni in a second. So if they're not able to make good on this, if Pillar of Autumn is able to cover, Nutty Nate's game is very, very difficult to play out as a Renekton in this situation, as I think across the board, we're seeing a lot of great things coming out from the side of Marz and the four wards.
Yeah, I mean, we already mentioned how Dwamni has started up around here, but I don't think this is the location exactly want to be in here, Drid. Marzion is there and move over for this crab, so it's going to be a lot of time committed from Drid to, you know, honestly not get all that much for that commitment there and then the top side, so.
Okay, I was wondering if he was actually going to go for it. Good job from Marzion, just kind of utilizing the fact that you're playing Yone into early game Azir. The mana costs are a little bit more prohibitive. It's a manaless champion. And just immediately taking the recall, not even going to bother to farm the wave. That's what you want to see when you're playing on cannon waves. Those are about the times you want to take your recalls. Instead, they're actually going to cancel it. They want to play for a little bit stronger spike. So Shanko sitting at 800, same thing almost here for Marzion. I think for Shanko, really wants to try to see if he can just try to squeeze out a back where he's able to get that lost chapter. Such a big difference maker when you're playing these mage mids.
Yeah, I mean, lost chapter. what is there to what words can possibly use to describe it? Hold on, I believe Randinch is going to find two. Nightmare is going to take him down to about half, but Ziggs obviously doesn't really have much damage outside of that initial burst. But perhaps a little point of danger, especially if we're finding that coming through. Marzion hopping forward and across the map. I mean, just some small micro plays, just going all the way in the advantage of Marz on the four wards, just immediately out the gate, as we just caught good. Bits and baubles from each lane so far, but yeah, no.
So Shanku finally takes his recall, and we're also seeing top lane right now. Dwamni's going to be able to use their TP to be in a much more of a better state right here. Instead, opting to just pick up this wave. It's going to be one more wave, so he's actually going to finish with 1,300 gold, more than likely what's going to happen in this top side. Can pick up plated steel caps, which I think is pretty strong. You already see, because they were able to get this timer where Shanku takes the recall timer, where the bot lane with Nightmare and Nahor immediately go for their recall. Now they can set up for the upcoming the upcoming Grubs fight. 30 seconds before that, and we already have Nahor sitting, waiting, getting vision. This is going to be a really important fight right now because Marzion is in a better spot, has the completed boots on the Yone, could be something that they could look for, but you're already taking a look at this. I mean, Drid's really close to level 6. Both of these junglers, they can get their ultimates. It's a game changer for this fight.
Yeah, and it does look like both the actually, I'd say, at least for a second, look like both these teams are going to try to push for that fight there, especially since Nutty Knight going to get stunned up. Actually, Locke's going to be committed onto Nutty Knight, and there's the kill. First blood going besides Dwamni. That early advantage continues to press up there in the top lane as Dwamni, wait, hold on, Shanku will be, I mean...
So Drid's got to be careful. It's a single grub here, by the way. A single grub gives Pillar of Autumn his level 6, and so they have to be able to be ready for that to be able to turn. And that was just a difference of who was actually able to make the play. Dwamni crushes a pretty massive wave under that turret against Nutty Nate, so missing out on golden experience. Nahor decided to go mid lane. They got nothing on Marzion the entire time. So while that's happening, the 3-man of Pillar of Autumn, Kraydog, and Dwamni make a play towards top side. They open up the lane, get a play and a half, plus all 3 of the grubs to start. A really good opener coming in from the side of Marz and the 4 wards.
Yeah, I mean, we even immediately see that straight away in the gold there being 1k, just slightly over 1k to the side of Marz on the 4 wards immediately. The Strake's knocked down just there. Okay, wait, no, now we got it. It was taking a little while. I saw where Pillar of Autumn moving over. I didn't necessarily believe that it was going to be possible, but, you know, sometimes you get a little hopeful that we see some shenanigans, but we're not out of the woods just yet. Marzion not gonna find much as Nahor just heads but that away, and we'll go back to what we've seen.
Yeah. This entire time as well, we had the AD carries farming bot lane, kind of just hanging out. Nightmare actually holding on to the teleport to use it for right now instead of using it on that prior wave. So seems like they want to be a little bit stronger right now. This is the kind of idea. Hopefully in the next 3 minutes we kind of see some of the after effects of what happens when you use teleport that late, especially as an AD carry. Doesn't usually matter when you're playing up against a Ziggs, but in this instance, it will mean that he won't have this available for the grubs, and so how they play the map can be just a little bit different, especially if we're looking at a potential for 4 to 6 grubs here coming in for Marz and the 4 wards.
Yeah, at the very least, it did mean that Nightmare was able to pick up that Sheen on the Ezreal, which is it feels really good when you do have the Tier Sheen combination there immediately. It's such a large spike in power in comparison to Ezreal's base, so at the very least he does have that available, and perhaps we could see somewhere in the 2v2 to start push that advantage. Obviously, we take a look at the farm numbers now, just alone slightly. I mean, it's not necessarily significant just yet, but perhaps we can start to inflate that farm advantage over the side. Headbutt pulverize Nahor.
We do have Pillar of Autumn ready to go here. They want to try to make this
document. He's going to try to find Nutty Nate. Hops in, doesn't quite find the kill just yet. Both ultimates popped across top laners, but once again, Nutty Nate does at the very least have that teleport, so should be okay if he can find the recall, but they're going to go for that. Nutty Nate.
Nice. No, that's good. He's got it.
He did. Well, I mean, it was more so Nutty Nate trying to go and try to set up this fight for Drid, who's now low. The snip, not quite enough to find lethal, and so it's 2 kills going over to the side of Marz and the 4 wards, and another really large wave going to be lost in the top side. Actually, no way.
They are playing so well around Dwamni right now. He's individually winning the 1v1. He's prepping the enemy top laner, softening them up right before the play. This is awesome, and now they're making a play bot lane. That's just a straight up 1v2. Like, they get 3 kills off of that entire play. They now can set up. Look, we've got a minute before the grubs. This is really good tempo, I think, that Marz and the 4 wards are keeping in such an early game paced game.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, they've won all over the map at this point. The 2v1 kill feels really bad if you are Nightmare. I mean, losing that, especially when you are Ezreal, that's kind of one of the typical advantages of Ezreal, is things that, well, we can usually just leave them alone down there and it'll be fine, but obviously not the case right now, coming through the first 11 minutes of this game. We are looking for the next objective being Drake coming up in about 1:40 at the very least. So teleport dropping early from Sean Fu here. Won't have that available. Actually, we really won't have any teleports available on the side of Grown Boys Clique coming up for this.
Big ultimates
Drake.
that are going to be coming up here. Pillar of Autumn going to be having their ultimate really soon. It's 30 seconds, so they just need to be able to stall. If they fight before this, I think that is a window where we could potentially see GBC actually take a small advantage. They still haven't also been able to move Shanku out of mid lane all that much, so maybe we actually start to see the impact of that happening. But aside from that, I mean, we're looking at top lane, right? We're looking at our top jungle here from the side of Marz and 4 Wards. They've got completed first items. You're in a very strong spot, and right now Nightmare, I think rightfully so, does have to apply pressure onto the Ziggs. Aside from that, I mean, this is kind of just like a holding pattern. Can we see them actually wait for the ultimate? So the Amumu ult is up. Rakan Quickness is going to be up and available soon. So how many grubs can Marz and the 4 Wards actually take here?
We'll have to see. They're starting it up right this very second. Pillar Bottom will find the way in, though. Headbutt away. Very well played by Nahor, but he's back.
Nice.
The Sad Mummy will find all three, and it's absolutely massive from the side of Marz and the 4 Wards. The headbutt away. I did say it was well placed and very thoughtful, but I mean, it only works once if Mamumu walks back up and you're still all three grouped together there. Yeah, that's the result.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, Nahor only has one combo, right? Like, he has the knock up, or he has the knock away, and he has the knock up. But that's it. Amumu has 2 bandage toss charges. That right there makes it so difficult for their team to actually receive the engage. And again, we're really not seeing the solo laners being able to connect. Nutty Nate is there, but he's not really useful. He doesn't have a full item yet. And now it's 5 grubs with a Ziggs and a Jax. This is already going to be a game that is incredibly difficult to try to match. You always have to play for a side lane now, and you're losing the individual matchup. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're never going to be able to match Ziggs in terms of him being able to destroy turrets, and now they're even able to grab the dragons. This is such a dominant start to the game where I just don't think GBC are even awake at this point. We're not really seeing them make a ton of plays. Nahor is unfortunately not going to be able to get a lot done on this Alistar, so now we're gonna have to see, can we have like surprise performances, some of those flanks. How much resources can Drid actually receive when you're behind on the map?
Yeah, I mean, the top lane turrets went down before 14 minutes, all 5 plates going over, as well as that extra map opening for Pillar of Autumn, and actually just all of brain. Give me a second. Marz and the 4 Wards, just in general. It definitely becomes hard for Drid, the heavy resource jungler. So, hold on. Marzion? Doing some good
He's chilling,
good
he's
work.
playing Yone. That champ's
that champ's crazy, especially with the buffs he recently got, because I don't know, why are we buffing Yone other than the reason?
I don't know. Look, they just thought the champions were not strong enough at 48% win rate before this patch, so it's fine. They just were like, yeah, it's fine. So Marzion just kind of taking trades. This should just be, and he's playing Yone, and he has flash, and he has ultimate.
Hold
okay,
on,
they're gonna TP
coming
for this.
through. They're going to try to find the rest of it coming down. Dwamni hop forward, headbutt away, really well by Nahor to hold that off for now. But Dwamni still has full reign of this jungle, and with a few low health bars, Drid, this is not where you want to be. Dwamni's still there, and he's getting low.
Oh my
Twins
god,
no longer
Dwamni.
immune. Chris Prin gets that first kill, 2 kills going over. Dwamni picking up that second. Nahor now going down, and it is now 9-0 across the board for the side of Marz and the 4 Wards as they continue to dominate here in game 1.
It's not a flawless game, but it's pretty damn close to one. They've got a grub and they got a dragon, and that's it for the side of GBC. GBC, a team that, again, we were saying these two teams are incredibly close in the standings, 1 spot above each other right now for GBC. And Marz and the 4 Wards, they're really showing up. I think they had a lot of problems towards the beginning of the season. I mean, you look at their schedule, right? First week, they go 1-2 versus OMG. Not a tough loss, I think, considering where we have Omega Goobers. But taking a loss against XG in week 3, that right there kind of hampers some of our expectations coming into the week.
Hold on,
but
Prey Dog won't be able to recall in time. Headbutt full
flash,
rise
should
going
be
to
out.
Queensland. Yeah, I mean, he will be okay for now, but do they continue this? I would say hopefully not, and do back away now.
Man, what a great opener. And for GBC, I think this is sort of the style that we've seen from them for most of the split. I mean, you look at their top lane pool, Dr. Mundo, Poppy, Ornn, some Urgot games, but really Nutty Nate has been more of a neutralizer to the lane, and that just hasn't come true up against Womni and Pillar of Autumn. Doing a fantastic job, I think, these two on the side of Marz and forwards. And for GBC, they need that hit in 4th gear, that hit in 6th gear even, just because like the usual carry, someone that usually takes a lot of golden resources, Drid, not in a fantastic spot to be able to win this game. I think has maybe at level 11 potentially a way to kind of come back. We're looking at Nightmare and Shanko, two players that, while maybe doing well on the stats leaderboard, aren't players that jump out to me as players that are going to try and 1v9 a game. They will almost never lose you a game, but I just don't think they're going to be the guys that kind of have that firepower to bring you over the edge. So I'm looking, can this be one of the games you kind of rewrite that history? Do you have that clutch factor? Do you have something that, you know, in my opinion, can't be taught? Do you have that X gene?
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but all across the board, I mean, Womni still sitting 5-0-3 on the Jacks. Even if Nightmare and Shanku do find that way in, you run into the issue where, I mean, Womni in a side lane. And even if you do find a fight there, how do you deal? How does anybody really deal with Dwamni at this point? Is what I wonder.
He's 5-0 and has 5 grubs. Like, the problem when you give so many grubs is that you actually can't match the opponent on side lane. You can't just say, okay, we're gonna give up them being like, you know, get a wave, maybe 2 on side lane, and we're gonna play for the objective. With 5 grubs and with how strong this Jax is, you have to play around them. You have to know, okay, who's matching, who's gonna be pushing a wave. Do we have a timer to potentially like push one wave, but while they're recalling, like we see Shanku here is trying to get this wave in, and then maybe they can collapse for the dragon. But it's just too much at this point, and Marzion has flash, has ultimate as well.
Away. Dominus pop, but Marzion will find 2 in the face shield, gets that first kill with the help of the tower. Drid's here now, but what can Marzion do to find a way out of it? Does get to
no way!
No way! Craig shows up in time with the lock of the Iron Solari, and it's just... Oh, it's honestly, it's just
that one. Sad. That one, I'm okay with them throwing it up. I would be okay if I just look in chat, if I press enter and I see open, not unexpected, not unexpected. They get completely outplayed. Marzion in the 4 awards. He's in the namesake. He's a name partner. He puts it down on them. Just absolutely insane stuff. They were not able to execute. Not enough lockdown. Not enough damage. I mean, again, Nutty Nate, 0-4. He's got the Black Cleaver, but no one on his team does a lot of physical damage. It's going to be Ezreal, and I think you would have probably expected maybe we go for something a little bit tankier. I know Sterix first is obviously not super popular, but I think when you need the shield...
Drid has nowhere to go. Dwamni's roamed up from that bottom lane, finds that one easily. Nightmare going to have to flash away as well. So just once again, more dominance from Marz and the 4 wards. Yeah, Marz in all the 4 wards, actually.
I mean, Crisp 10 is ward number 3 apparently. If anything from general chat, from Diamond League general chat is anything, he called him ward number 3. Don't speak without permission. I thought that was very funny. But now they're just taking jungle. This is for surely got to be a game for them. They're 10,000 gold at 19 minutes. I don't think we've seen stuff quite like this, especially for 2 teams that we are expecting to make it into playoffs. But they're making it not even look close in this game 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you had like nameplates off without any of the logo, with any of the team logos up, I probably would have guessed that this might have been like Akuma Sabres versus who are they playing this week? I forgot, they were playing Ketamint. That's right. Like if we had nameplates off and no logos for the teams, I'd be like, this is the Sabres Ketamint series.
I would have thought it was a little strange that someone else is picking Gwen jungle, but considering we have players like Metashift and Girl Boys Clique, but yeah, it's definitely a game where, man, this is awesome. I think this is really awesome for the league, especially when we're seeing teams kind of start to grow a little bit more, and I'm loving what we're getting from the bottom lane here. I think Chris 10 and Kraydog have played 2 really good weeks so far. They obviously need to close out today. However, I think that their games last week were really good. It was up against Art of War, and this is kind of the springboard you need. We are in week 5, right? So kind of we're over that halfway point in the season, and Marz and the 4 Wards right now 2-2. If they can get a 3rd win, I would think in a 10-team league with 9 weeks to play, 4 to 5 wins is probably going to be your break point. That is going to be your break point to say, okay, this is how much you need to win to be able to get into playoffs. One more win on top of that, and then again, we're looking at their schedule. They have TPF, they have Akuma. Week 9, you have Ketamint. So even if they were to lose the next 3 weeks, if they're able to get a win here, that's going to be that should put them over the hump at 4.
Finds way forward. Dwomny just walks up from behind without any sort of contest whatsoever. Crispton does end up being the one to get that kill. Nahor has nowhere to go. Does just consign himself to oblivion, and that should be Baron. And up now at 21 minutes.
All right, Isaac, let's take a little bit of gambling with the folks at home. For anybody who's watching, do we think that from this position, that Marz and the 4 Wards are going to end deathless?
Ooh.
Call your shot right now.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, because I'm going to say the death is going to come inside the base when they try to fountain dive Drid. It's going to be exactly that.
Fine.
Yeah, it's going to be one. They're going to pick up 1 death, and it's going to be them trying to fountain dive.
You know,
Drid specifically.
I think that's respectable. I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna say these guys are gonna end without a death. I think that they've been playing really, really well. They've been obviously outplaying their opponents, and only right, I think, for them to kind of close this one out. So now Shanku has to be a little bit careful, has to retreat from this instance. And this is just a great game. Now, we need to see how they close out. How clean can they actually get this game to kind of finish out? Because if they can't close out very cleanly, then we could say, maybe GBC, we're kind of putting them in a bit of a dumpster. They kind of got them finally past that point. But aside from that, this has been a pretty good game from them. And I kind of no notes for right now.
Yeah, in other news, the sky is blue. I don't know how to transition out of that one. I mean, what do you do as Grown Boys Clique at this point? I'm trying to think.
There's not much stuff for us to talk about. Like, let's keep it a stack. Like, if you want, we can kind of talk about our days. But for the time being, this game is chalked.
I gotta hang some more lights again in the theater. That was
okay.
Fun. Yeah.
Nahor just does absolutely nothing. He does the drive-by. He's like, okay, I'm entering my base. We're chill. They're pushing on 2 waves. No one can kill Dwomny at this point. Yes, Sterix as well. Like, this game is cooked.
Yeah, yeah, you know, I was hanging up lights in the theater. I got to work on the group, but there goes Drid.
Oh, wow.
Fight comes through, and there just Tigers and the Sad Mummy finds 4, and yeah. I think the deathless. Never mind. There's no fountain dive.
They could die to the turrets.
They could. I guess it's possible.
I don't think it's likely, but they could do it. They could grief the game just a little bit.
I mean, yeah. Nah. Well,
no.
Turns out you're the one who got the bet, right? You win bragging rights of calling that Grown Boys. I mean, not Grown Boys Clique. Marz on the 4 Wards goes deathless in game 1. There in what was a did you see the final time in the score? It was like 22 minutes.
24:03.
Yeah.
Definitely not our fastest game of the season, but one of our most broken games of the season. That was I mean, Dwomny, most damage in the game as Jax. Just insane. There's not much to talk about. The game's been over for like 10 plus minutes, so yeah. I'm ready for game 2, and I think GBC are as well.
Well, when we come back, we will have to wait and see how Grown Boys Clique does adjust that one. At the very least, it is fearless, so they won't have to face that composition again. Even if the composition doesn't necessarily decide how it's that one-sided, but I mean, at the very least, Grown Boys Clique, they will get a break to figure it out for game 2, and we'll see what they do. But until then, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, for game 2, or at least a draft for game 2 between Grown Boys Clique and Marz in the forwards. We got a change of side. Marz on blue side this time around. And, well, Grown Boys Clique game 1. We'll have to see.
They got ran.
Yeah.
They got ran. That's just how it goes. We're kind of changing up. Again, we do have Fearless, so a lot of champions that we won't be able to see. The Ziggs, the Amumu, really big ones here for Marz, so we'll see how they are able to adapt. Second draft in, first pick of the Skarner here, which not too surprising if you've been kind of looking, but is a champion that they've not been able to get their hands on for the side of GBC. I'm trying to take a look of when they would have been able to grab any Skarner games, and yeah, they haven't been able to grab it so far, for Marz in the forwards. They've not been able to grab this champion either, so kind of unique to see this champion. We'll see what they're actually able to do, and if maybe this is a little bit some of that newer spice coming in from 5 weeks into a tournament.
Yeah, I think Skarner's definitely an alright pick. I haven't necessarily seen a huge amount of priority on him to go first. It's a little bit of surprise, but I don't dislike the champ. I think he fulfills his role of being a big guy who says, "You come here." He does that pretty fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's doing fine. Has a really good jungle matchup, I think, just in general in terms of tank junglers. So GBC going to be going for the Kaisa Nautilus. I think very, very reliable. You know exactly what you're going to get. Also, I think allows for Nightmare to have a little bit more carry potential. I love this answer immediately. The Ashe for the laning phase. You have Braum as a counter into Nautilus. Already Marz have really, really strong lanes for bottom side setup. So now for GBC, I think this is where you kind of think, what is our jungle counter for Skarner? Because Lilia is now gone. We're not going to be able to play the Ivern, something that we've banned as well. We also no longer have a Mumu or Gwen. So for GBC, got to be thinking of maybe do we play an AD jungler that can kind of farm? Or do we want to just pick our mid lane here? And it decides like they're going to be going for Hui here for Shanku, who I think individually has played okay. I wasn't, I think, a huge fan. Let me see if we have gotten a Hui game from them before. It doesn't seem like we have. This champion is definitely maybe a little bit more supportive to their teammates and to their jungle. So interested to see what we get from Shanku, who I think on the mages has been all right for the most part.
A slight takeaway from Marzion as well. In general, I mean, especially since Sintra's the main ban. If we do get a game 3, we'll just always be banned against Marzion. But I think it's also a pretty decent denial pick, especially since it is Marz in the forwards. Even if that name's starting to kind of be shaken up a bit with how the performance of the rest of the team has definitely stepped up over the split.
Okay, so we're getting a lot of topside focus bans. 3 champions taken away. Mordekaiser, Ornn, and Camille. Big ones here. So Renekton no longer available because we just saw it last game. GBC, I think this is probably the spot you want to be blinding your top laner in and just let your jungler, especially for someone like Druid, give him counterpick. Look for something that you can try to get a little bit more spicy with. It's a Kayn angle. I think this is an awful Kayn angle to try to play when you're playing Ashe and Braum. Just not fun to play. Just not something that you really want to kind of experience. So I think that this Kayn's a bit too worrisome for me.
I think Kayn in general is one of those champs that you just kind of see locked in and you go, I don't know.
All right, well, it's gonna be a 1v9 game, or this champ's gonna be absolutely useless.
Yeah, well,
fair play.
Yeah, and it will probably struggle, especially with Dr. Mundo. Veigar, the options for Marz in the forwards. There's just a lot of it's difficult for Kayn to really find his way in onto this team. So
yeah, there's no like crowd control. We need a top laner that provides a lot of crowd control as well as being able to do okay into Mundo. I mean, you could go for the Cassante, a champion that is still available for us. You could try to go for Gragas as a kind of way to kind of displace enemy top lane. But they're going to go for the lane matchup. They want to try to take the Aatrox in. I think, Isaac, we're looking at a Marz 2-0. To be fair, the one thing that changes my mind is Veigar in this league is a trap pick. This champion is fake. It does nothing. Every time we see it, it just loses mid-prio, and then the rest of the team just loses. Like, it is... I think it's a pretty fake champion, and especially for a person like Marzion, who we expect to have a lot of agency in the game, this is not a champion. This is a champion that is very greedy and someone that can very easily get punished by something like a Hui. So I'm looking forward to how Marzion can do this, and for GBC, can they actually bounce back from an incredibly dominant game one?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I don't. At the very least, you did say Vagar. I, I, you do say that, but like at the same time, the rest of the team is fine enough. I don't think it should be too much of an issue. Also, Vagar. I mean, GBC. They do want to get up close and personal, and Vagar throws up that baby cage, and unless if Marzion is just rendered completely useless, like 10 minutes by 10 minutes, I mean, I still think Vagar outside of that, will still at least be useful for the composition that GBC is running. And so I would have to agree that this is probably a Grown Boys 2-0. Maybe not to the extreme that we saw last game.
Grown
that
Boys
was
or Marzion?
Grown Boys. Did I say Grown Boys? Oh my god,
Yeah.
wait, Marzion. Whoops. Yeah, no.
It could technically be a 2-0 if GBC only win from here. That's technically a 2-0.
If GBC invent time travel and undo game one, I think we could see a GBC 2-0. But
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I'm just
whoops.
similar to kind of what I was talking about last game. I am struggling to see what we could get from GBC that is a little bit different. Now, again, maybe this is a redemption game. That not every game is going to have your top laner 3-0 at 6 minutes. So maybe this is something that we could see for Nutty Nate as kind of having a revival game. But as is, we need to see Nutty Nate really stomp this lane, because this is supposed to be something that is very strong for Mundo or for Aatrox. And so if this time around, similar to what we saw in game one, they can play around their top side objectives, this is another game where Kane kind of has, he can do a lot. He can split the top side of the map here. He can utilize Aatrox's pressure. Hui can very easily cheat waves out of mid lane and move into enemy jungle. So I do want to see how GBC can activate their solo laners to allow for Drit to carry a game, because when it does happen, he is super aggressive, he's in your face, and he makes it very difficult. It's very suffocating to play against Drit when they have an advantage.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see if the solo lanes of Grown Boys Clique can take over this game to enable Drid for game 2, but until then, we will send it to a spectator delay. When we come back, we'll have Grown Boys Clique in Marz on the 4 wards and a potentially deciding match. So don't go anywhere. And we have loaded onto the Rift for Game 2 between Grown Boys Clique and Marz and the Four Wards. I'm Isaac, alongside me is Alk Battery, if you are just tuning in. Grown Boys Clique, we gotta see something different out of them in Game 2, because
They gotta do something, bro. Please.
Then trade. Walk up to Pillar of Autumn. Gotta just get a kind of favorable trade there, but I mean, I guess that is something different. They actually attack each other at level 1, so.
Yeah, but that is a slight advantage over to Drid. Already getting some points down into the transformation. Doesn't go for the recall. Wow, that is, I think, that is a mechanical error right there, because Drid immediately question mark pings it, and I think that was a moment where you go to place on the ward, and there's the auto walk feature, so it walks you into position to be able to actually place the ward and cancels recalls. He's not gonna have full HP. Doesn't mean, I think, it's not going to affect the early clear all that much in terms of the speed, but it does mean that Drid's probably going to have to use Smite, maybe a camp earlier than he expected, which might actually end up affecting maybe if we get into like a scuttle fight, or if we do see an early invade, which I don't think is really going to be the case, especially when you look at some of the solo lanes here from the side of Marza and the Four Wards.
Yeah,
Oh, he starts E second as well. Wow, okay.
Ooh. Wait, hold on. Let me take a look at this. I need to see this. Okay, QE, that.
You can start W, right? Like, especially if you're gonna
Yeah.
go up against more of the camps with a lot of minions, especially Krugs. You could tend to look for that, but with the HP trade, I think he just has to focus on getting as much of his health back as possible. So
Yeah.
I like the adaptation. Also allows him to move around the jungle just a little bit quicker. And once he hits level 3, it's just not going to matter.
Oh, that's going to find itself out. Crispton going to get marked up there. Luckily, is far enough away from Nightmare to not get that full proc of the Plasma passive from Nightmare, but still very dangerous moments. And yeah, luckily they'll be fine. Luckily they'll be fine. I mean, it was a good window of opportunity from Nahor to try to take there, though. Very proactive.
So both of our junglers are pathing towards bottom side. Both of these teams have different ways of accessing the enemy jungler. Right now, Nightmare and Nahor are using the fact that they got early push in the lane to get a vision early on into the Tribe Rush. And with Marz and the Four Wards, they do have Ashe, so they're utilizing the Hawk Shot, which I think for taking that level 2, you're kind of saying, look, we don't want to really contest on the wave all that much. I think it would have been perfectly okay if we would have just seen Rangers focus skilled up second here, but again, once you hit level 3, it's all kind of equalized at that point. Really just wanting to make sure they can notice where Drid is. Right now, Pillar of Autumn ahead on the jungle camps. Looks like they're going to be finishing at about the same time. And if we look at where the lanes are right now, this should be double scuttle here for Drid.
I mean, should be, with Drid coming down now, but as this wave's time starts to push back up, we might get a little bit of an encounter between the two supports here. We're already seeing all 3 members roam up towards this Scuttle Crab, and will be claimed by Pillar of Autumn, so no double scuttle for Drid. It's perhaps a little bit too early on that shove from Nightmare and Nahor to adequately move in and support their jungler to pick up.
It was a good time for the bounce back right there. They got their bot lane to move like we were saying, so ended up taking that position, and means that, like you were saying, they do not get both grubs, but with getting topside grubs, you do have grub spawning, or topside scuttle, yeah. And then you have grub spawning in a minute and a half. This is around the time we're going to probably see both of our bottom lanes start to try to scrap it out, try to get the recalls in, so that they can be prepared. I don't think we're going to be seeing supports really move out until about a minute
going to do
beforehand.
A lot of damage onto Dwamni, hopping forward. We'll be fine for now, though. At the very least, Dwamni does stay alive. For a second
this is such a dangerous spot to be in, right? Because the wave is starting to push away from Dwamni. His jungler's not quite here, but they are going to spot Drid eventually. Guess the flashes. Oh my god, Nutty Oh my god, Nutty please.
It is very unfortunate. Not exactly played in the way that you would have liked to see from Nutty Nate. You feel that if he did land that Q, for sure, have picked up that that kill there. So slight blunder from the side of Grown Boys Clique early on. Shanku going to get trapped in the baby cage as Kraydog hops up, does get the passive onto Shanku. Stun does come up, Ignite dropping.
Oh wow.
Might have been saved a little bit there by the level up, but he's fine for now at the very least. Does have teleport available, so it should be okay.
Oh, so close, and he didn't also have enough mana to use the ultimate there. I was thinking maybe that was potential. Dwamni's such a hard spot. The wave is starting to come back to him, but Drid is back here, and Drid wants to get that evolve. They're not particularly close. They haven't really been able to fight all that much, but if Nutty Nate gets this level 6 on this wave, have to expect that they could try to go for an all-in.
Recall on Drid. Does it go through, though? Yeah, it does. Okay.
All right, so Dwamni still in an okay spot for right now. Oh, just barely. That W doesn't land.
And
Need to be
he does
careful.
hit level 6
Dwamni
off
with the
that
ultimate
too.
on the Dr. Mundo can be a really big problem for Aatrox to deal with. So really wants to try to poke out, get rid of the passive from Mundo before he goes in.
Yeah, but meanwhile, we shift to the bottom side of the map. Pillar of Autumn is here, maybe trying to find an answer to that. Still nothing much, especially as that wave starts to push away, which means it should at the very least be first straight, probably going over to the side. Wait, Nutty Nate will pop the World Ender for now, and Dwamni does answer himself with his own ultimate. Get
out.
some of that health back, and yeah, it'll be fine. But yeah, as I mentioned,
How can they make this play? Nahor is set up to try to land a really big ultimate here.
Nahor does find one, doesn't have that ultimate available though, and Pillar of Autumn is dragged away. First blood going over to the side of Nightmare. Crispin going out Flash Wave, followed by Drid trying to pick up that kill. Crispin surely going down any second now. Flash forward from Nightmare, does have the barrier available, is alive, but that does mean that first strike will go over to the side of Grown Boys Clique.
I can't believe that was only one death right there. We ended up seeing Chris 10 use all of the summoner spells, and I was thinking that this Marzian team would have enough damage. You would think that with having the Ashe, with the shaking passive coming out from the Skarner, that this would be enough. I mean, the Quaking, sorry. That should be enough. It's percent max HP versus Dragon very early on. Usually gives you enough damage, but they're not really able to get it down in time. Again, this Veigar doesn't provide all that much in terms of damage when it comes towards objectives. It's all about that setup, that burst. They're not able to turn. And at the upfront, Grown Boys Clique just have a lot more upfront damage. They have a lot more upfront CC, and allows for them to make that play. So really good job coming out from GBC to kind of stand their ground, not really able to give away another objective. And it does mean we kind of get a swap. We didn't see that focus towards Grubs this time around. Grubs more so an afterthought and more so a secondary prize, as now we get to see 3 of them go over to Marzion, and Grown Boys Clique taking a pretty strong advantage. The kill going on a Nightmare and getting themselves the Dragon.
Yeah, they set up at around 1k of a gold advantage here early on. It is definitely in a much bigger improvement from Nutty Nate, though, has gotten so far.
I mean, they have a kill. We've already started off. They've got a kill. GBC are already much better than they did
That is true. That is true.
They got 1 kill.
I mean, not only that, there's his first kill, but I mean, this time around, Nutty Nate, I mean, it was a bit of a weak point. I mean, in general, last time, we kind of expected that out of Grown Boys Clique. But, you know, he's definitely been working that counter pick at least fairly all right so far. I mean, sitting around 15 farm up there in the top lane. We definitely wanted to see a little bit more out of him, and he's definitely getting that here in game 2.
And this is something that, I mean, it's kind of funny, you know, we're talking about GBC not getting a kill last game. You would think, without any knowledge, you're like, oh, well, one of these teams must be that much better than their opponents, but these are 2 teams that are incredibly close to standings. Grown Boys Clique 4th, Marzion 5th. 1 point in terms of the differential from our point standings, and 1 win, 1 series win in front of each other. So this is our fight for top 3, top 4. Marzion going down.
By the ultimate. Drid's here. Drid going to pick up that kill in the mid lane. Shanku doing well to turn around the baby cage and pick up yet another kill for Grown Boys Clique.
Good job from Shanku. Kind of just outplays the situation. Also, Marzion holding on to the flash. I think, unfortunately, because you held on to the flash, now you lose another plate. You lose mid control. And this is just another wave that you're also missing out, which typically mages, champions that want to get a lot of XP, obviously want to have a little bit more gold. Wouldn't say it's a little bit different for something like Veigar. Veigar very reliant on getting experience, getting a little bit of farm so you can get those phenomenally evil stacks.
Yeah, and if you're only walking back to the lane with a blasting wand, meanwhile you have Sean,
you're kind of sad, yeah.
Who's still yet to recall, does have that lost chapter. It's yeah, you are.
I guess
kind of sad is
bank?
certainly one way of putting it.
Yeah. So Mid lane position, not looking good if you're on the side of Marz and 4 wards. Just, again, a bit of a PSA from the caster here for Blue Water Diamond League. Stop picking Veigar, guys. This champion is very bad. This champion is very fake. Bot?
And hold on, Kraydog hopping forward. We do have Pillar of Autumn somewhat close. Maybe we could try to find to turn someone around, especially as Nahor going to get tagged here, going to get stunned. Oh my gosh, no, the recall does go through. Drid's no longer a part of it.
No way.
Drid's away. Pillar of Autumn's there now. Chris
can he go for the ultimate here?
And the slow onto Nightmare surely going to be enough.
Oh, that might be still the kill.
There, but the stun does come through. It should be enough. Double kill going over to the side of Chris 10. And a bit of a blunder from Drid, not to say it around. I think maybe to help his team out there. I mean, perhaps. I mean, do you think Drid maybe could have turned that one around there?
Like they just didn't have vision of where the Skarner is, so that's kind of like unfortunate timing a little bit. And also, he has a completed item. At that point, either your jungler has to move on down and actually help him. Marzion almost gets soloed. Finally, the flash is out, but look who's around mid. Nahor's coming through mid, has Ignite. They also have Drid ready to go. They have exact eyes onto where Kraydog is. Really good job.
You don't have flash. He's moving up again, and that's surely going to be the kill. Going over to Drid, yet another one on this Kayn. And so, despite the slight blunder earlier there, Drid does definitely turn back around there and be fine here on this Kayn.
I wonder what Drid's going to go for. So, didn't go for the Evolve on the last one and has the Shadow Assassin ready. It looks like going for more of, wants to just pick up the Rost. Very, very strong. Typically, if you are going to be going Rost, the level up scheme is a little bit different. Qmax is not usually something that we're seeing a ton of, but it's just one of the differences. Wmax is very, very strong on all forms of Kayn, and turns out instead what we're going to do is we're going to kill mid, we're going to open that up, allow for our bottom lane after they recall, go for the dragon. So 2 dragons here now for Gromboy's Clique, where a lot of power now in Drid. He's got the gold. He's not necessarily ahead in terms of farm, but we look at where he's at. He's about 600, 700 gold over his opponent. In terms of experience, they're about the same. And this is going to be a grubs trade. So now 6 grubs for the side of Marz and the 4 wards. How much can they actually get done with this? Because you don't have a pushing wave in top. Eventually, you're going to move this mid wave over, and Ashe should eventually get mid push versus Kai'Sa until she has that Q evolve. But for the time being, you're not actually able to use this all that much. So really going to be interesting to see how they actually get this done. I love this pincer maneuver. Pillar of Autumn getting ready with the E to go.
Oh, it will land, and there's nowhere to go for the side of Shonku. As soon as you're hit by the 3-second stun on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, there's just really not much you can do.
How can play? That's Ashe ultimate, Skarner. Then there's Braum, there's Veigar. How am I supposed to play the game, guys?
Well, at the very
must have a lot of fans.
At the very least, it does commit a lot towards that.
Or making this play. TP bot.
Yeah, TP bot. That's going to be Dwamni going to try to find this one out. Nightmare, Nahor don't know what's coming. And it's going to be them hopping away. They do have the mobility, but will it be enough? Nightmare going low, going not down just yet. Last word from Dwamni does get it. And Nahor can no longer get away, and it's another 2 kills going over to the bottom half of the side of Marz and the 4 wards.
And look at what they're doing during this time. Marz and the 4 wards, you see them, they make that play towards bottom lane, they TP behind an enemy bot for GBC, they get the kills. What do? They use this time, recall, they have Pillar of Autumn collect the top lane wave so that no one's missing out on farm. All of these are going to be up, and now they can even play for the Rift Herald. Really good lane assignments coming out from Marz and the 4 wards, who are showing a lot of awareness as to what's happening in the game and playing very dynamic, which I can always respect. So I love this coming out from them. GBC have been playing all right for the time being, and it's definitely still in a position.
Nutty Nate going low will get the passive away from Dr. Mundo for now. The rest of his team is here. Can he stay alive long enough? Yes, he can for Drid and Nahor to arrive. Will they find the counter gank here?
They should be fine here.
Kraydog going low, and yeah, no kills going either way. Shonku, however,
they're killing
might
Shonku.
not be okay as he's caught out by another Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Marzion going to pick that one up, and it's going to start turning back this game around, perhaps, on this Veigar.
So not taking the top lane play, by them not being able to kill Nutty Nate, actually stops them from going for Herald. And I think very realistically should turn into some camps here for Drid. Staying for Kraydog loses so much out of the map. Nightmare also getting a lot of golden experience for themselves by taking that mid-tier 1. I love how this game is starting to turn out. We're getting a lot of good map play from these two teams. It's going to be a bot tier 1 for Marzion and Chris 10. And the longer that
Nutty Nate
GBC stay
doesn't have the
here,
world and they're
necessarily-
available. Nahor's here. Kraydog is well close by.
So
They'll
the
be okay.
longer that we see them not really,
Wait, Drake is here
advance
though.
the
Wait,
map
all
states,
four members
Skarner's gonna be
coming
here
up.
soon.
There's not much that you can really do. Here comes for the dive. Dwamni going low, going down. But Nahor being picked up, taken down with all the tower aggro.
Turret's
Tower
going
now
down.
going down. And you no longer have that charging up turret there to help you. So it is 2 for 1 going over the side of GBC. And it is a double kill onto Nutty Nate.
They executed. They got the 3 kills. They're able to make sure that they grab that turret as well. They'll grab the Herald. Should set them up very nicely for this dragon spawn in a minute and a half. If they get their recall timers in relatively soon, they can even take Hextech gates to come back out onto the map. Someone does have to pick it up. Thank you. They can use this to eventually take control of mid or take control of one of these side lanes, whether that's bottom lane, and set it for the dragon that'll put them on soul point. Really good answer from the side of GBC after they kind of lost out on the map a little bit there, setting up.
Yeah, and well, you said that, but they do have ulti tap. Wait, hold on. It was a good play earlier from Marzion. We'll have to flash away though. Pillar of Autumn is here supporting Crispin. Kraydog also nearby. So why is it going to be backing away from the side of Going Boys Clique?
That's going to be a win. That means that now Marzion shouldn't be able to enter. If we do a Nocturne ult on him, that's going to be Nightmare. That should be Drid flying in from the wings. Make sure that they can take care of this Veigar.
No, Nocturne?
Maybe. You know,
No, you said Nocturnal. There's no Nocturne.
Oh, sorry. It should just be that Nightmare. Nightmare's ult. Yeah, so they should be able to go in.
Makes sense.
At the very least, what this means that it's much easier for GBC to actually open up for this dragon. So Soul Point potential here for the side of Grown Boys Clique. How do we see them kind of answer this on the side of Marz and the forwards? It looks like they're going to just try to make a play here. They got the flash from
arrow
Shanku.
will miss. So a lot of tools already used by the side of
dead.
Marz and the forwards. Now they'll find it, but it's not enough. It is absolutely dominant from the side of Grown Boys Clique, and now they have grown up from game 1, and it is a clean ace for the side of Marz and the forwards. Not even their health. No way they try to end this.
They might. Okay, so
they
20
might.
seconds before any meaningful members come up, and they've got the Herald here. They're going to ignore this charge. Good job. Get it onto the inhibitor. They have no Void Grubs here. Next one up is Chris 10 up in 5. It looks like they're just going to grab themselves the inhibitor turret, and instead, they're going to try to use this to make sure that they are able to grab the dragon as well, but Drid is nowhere nearby. But he's playing Kane. It doesn't matter. He should be able to get away from this.
I mean, they should also be able to take the Herald down fast enough where it won't matter that they don't have Drid there. Especially, so yeah, it'll be okay. I thought, it's one of those things where it's like the Drake is up for free, and like there's no way they try to net it.
Right. Dragon Soul Point here as they grab themselves a Hextech Drake, very close to having Hextech Soul. And you see it, you guys can't see it, but immediately the ping's coming out. They know there's no flash on Hui. Shanku, no flash. They can make this play again with Ashe ult coming up in a few seconds. That's kind of their go button right now, because they don't have someone like Nautilus, they don't have someone like Leona. It is on Ashe to be able to land this ultimate. Can they actually get into a good position? And Pillar of Autumn, for what a great opener he had on the Skarner, doesn't have much to show for it. There's not too many Heartsteel procs, despite some of the low-range composition that we're getting from Grown Boys Clique. And we're not really able to kind of see them kind of thrive in a situation where Skarner's actually getting multi-man ultimates. Just not something that's really occurring right now.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome early on. I mean, we've seen a few ultimates from Pillar of Autumn just flat out not sign, just straight up miss everybody. Lasting a little bit longer here than what normally is for a pause.
No, don't say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Oh dear.
Okay.
We might be getting small ending company.
Legendary spectator delay of doom.
Yeah. Anyway, though, yeah, but before we have any determinate things on that, I mean, Pillar of Autumn, I mentioned definitely in a few of those fights. I mean, some of them were so one-sided where I don't think it would have changed too much if he found any of the impales there. But it's still definitely not the greatest performance there, especially after last game that we saw.
All right. I think for the time being, let's just kick it to a break while we're waiting. Sorry for everybody. We're currently experiencing a spectator client bug. Could be one of the longest pauses of all time. We don't know. So while we're waiting for that, we're gonna just kick it to a short break, and when we're back, hopefully we'll have the rest of Game 2 between Grown Boys Clique and Marz in the forwards.
And after what is unfortunate with game two, where we lost it at 19 minutes due to spectator bug, unfortunately, we won't be able to cover the rest of that one. However, that does mean we are now into the draft of game three, which means we do actually have a game three, which is a little bit of a spoiler alert for the result of game two. That Grown Boys Clique ended up taking that one, which not really a surprise after how that first 19 minutes went.
They played really well, and I'm glad that they were able to put up a series. Now, can they actually take up the rest of the series is kind of the question we're going to have. We're getting right into game 3 here. We're already kind of getting our way under draft. Champions staying a lot of the same, but we are in game 3 of our Fearless format, which very big, especially when you look at most of the teams that we're kind of getting on stream. By the time we get to that third game, we start to see a little bit some different stuff. So Ari this time around, for the most time, it has been Ivern, Udyr, and Syndra. So interested to see now we're going to be getting Marz, who are actually taking away all of those champions. This time around, the Orianna, Syndra making it through here, Syndra not making it through the draft, and immediately GBC, they pick up the Jinx. This has been a champion that has been very, very vital. Do you look at their strategy? This is a champion that they've been willing to first pick on blue side. This is a champion that they're willing to respond with on red side. Very, very strong. And with how the league kind of sets up, with how this is usually a jungler-led meta right now in terms of our teams here in Blue Water Diamond, I think Jinx is the perfect champ. She's great at engage. She offers plenty of damage, and she just allows for your jungler to kind of be that one guy and just let Jinx kind of be a secondary carry.
Yeah, and especially when Drid is also that guy that you talk about, it certainly helps out, especially with how we saw last game go. Jhin will be the answer for Marz and forwards, though. Not surprised. Thresh. Oh, I don't know if I'm as big on.
Isaac, I hate this game already.
Not a Thresh
There were
fan?
so many good things. I'm already... Jhin is Mr. Useful, Mr. Do Nothing in this league. If anybody doesn't know, currently, Jhin not updated for this week in terms of the stats, but he is he is the most picked
played
champion.
Yep.
17 games picked. 35% win rate.
35% win rate, yeah.
This champion is not good. He doesn't provide anything that I think that the teams... That means out of 17 games, he's won 6.
It's
Pretty disgusting. And he is, we're talking about the fact that, like, what does this champion offer? Well, he sets up engage, usually has a strong enough laning phase. He can get by it through a lot of champions, but the engage pool right now is just too strong. If this is maybe something with a little bit more enchanters, I could see, getting away with a Jhin to try to play around it, but I just don't think we have very many good Jhin players when it comes to AD carry here in Blue Water Diamond League. So going to be interested to see what we can get from Nightmare, or get from Chris 10, who I think has been standout as an AD carry so far the past 2 weeks. Victor here for GBC, a strong mage for Shanku, but I think that this team may be lacking in terms of setup. They only really have the Leona, and I love this Sylas coming in.
Yeah, there's already a few good options available for Sylas. Leona, the Solar Flare, going to be pretty alright choice, but not only is it a pretty good spot for Sylas into Victor, it is also Marzion Sylas specifically that just adds that little extra onto it. I mean, obviously he hasn't been able to pick up Syndra at all, understandably. However, also a very big Sylas player.
Sylas is really great. I mean, low mobility on the 2 carries that GBC have already shown. Great ultimate stealing as well. A strong enough laning phase versus Victor, depending on what build you go. This could be a setup where we get to see Marzion kind of step up as that name brand for the team. Can he actually take away a win? We're getting into that second phase of draft. Engage junglers now. Vi, still a champion we haven't seen all series long. We're looking at other champions. I mean, the Skarner just got taken away. We're looking at now the topside focus. I wonder if GBC are going to, yet again, get rid of more of those top laners. The Ornn, the Mordekaiser, the Camille here for Dwamni. Because Dwamni has been standout, and we got to see, so far throughout the series, the top laners have been very influential for these games.
Yeah, I mean, both games 1 and 2, we put at around 15 minutes, we had top laners that had at least 5 kills. Actually, wait, no, I think Nutty Nate had 4. How did I say that? I might be wrong with that first assessment, but yeah, top laners being very involved here. Where did they go? Xin Zhao, though, for Marzion and the 4 wards. I mean, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan right now. At the very least, you do have very immobile carries right now for Xin Zhao, so at least there's that. But I don't know. I haven't really seen much out of this champion in the few times I've seen him play to make me really go, Hell yeah, that's the one we
It's
want.
yeah, it's okay here. I think GBC have a ton of answers. I think Wukong is very strong here. Yes, it's another champion that Silas might be able to steal an ultimate from, but it's an AD option, as well as it does allow for you to really get into the mix with how low range this Marzian team can be. So going for Gragas, I'm hoping this is going to be just a top lane blind, and they're trying to just give more time for jungle to kind of pick what they want. They know that they wanted the Gragas. There's that Wukong coming in. I think a really good option, and this is a situation where Silas has a lot of choices in what he can take for his hijack. He can go for the Victor ultimate. The Gragas ultimate is obviously very, very nice. And instead, going for the Bel'Veth.
Whoa,
So we
okay.
wanted to see if Druid was going to continue more of that carry-style jungle, someone who wants a lot more resources. Gragas is not someone who typically wins top lane matchups very often, so going to have to see what they can do. This is going to be the blind Gragas coming out for Nutty Nate. What does
I
Dwamni
wanna
go
see
for?
Olaf.
He's been someone
Lock it,
who has
Olaf.
had the
Lock-
mechanics.
Lock it. No.
We've seen Olaf before.
Yes.
We've been seeing Olaf versus Gragas, and
They
he's going to
scared me
go
for a
for it.
second. They
All right,
scared me.
Marzion and the 4 wards. This could be their chance to take kind of the what is it? I'm going to say is kind of like a smaller upset when you think of all of our predictions coming into the day. Most of us had Marz and the 4 wards losing today. It's going to be a tale of the solo lanes here. Can Marzion and Dwamni bring home a win and take that 4th place spot away from GBC?
Yeah, I mean, well, if there's if there's ever a matchup that you want to do that on, it is Olaf into Gragas. I mean, we saw a bit of it last week in the similarly with who was it that played that got it? It was
Oh, are you talking
Right.
about the top lane matchup? That would be
yeah, it was the top one. It was Goobers
it was
and
Flame
Leviathan.
versus Rover. It was Flame
Yeah,
versus
it's Flame
Rover.
versus Rover, and even
And
though
Rover
that,
got absolutely completely dumpstered.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see a top laner lose that hard
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
and I don't suspect it will nearly be as bad. Flame, obviously, arguably the best top laner in the league. It's a bit
Yep.
of a mixture there with him and Basting, but and Rover maybe not so much. So I don't imagine it'll be nearly as dominant as that previous series, but still Olaf into Gragas is, especially when you are looking for your solo lanes. That's
I mean, Bel'Veth
certainly
just
one way
wants
to
the
do
solo
it.
lanes to do anything. But Bel'Veth really wants for her to be able to get the evolve formed, for her to have access to those topside camps, and get the Rift Herald, that kind of thing. This is such a tough matchup. It does mean that it's not unwinnable. Obviously, you can play it a little bit differently. If you're on the side of Nutty Nate, you can try to go for some poke builds. You can go for the Arcane Comet and really try to whittle away at Olaf so that Drid, when he gets there, he can see that Olaf 40% HP before the Ragnarok. There's something that maybe we can do with the knockup and all the damage that Bel'Veth does have access to early on. But it's just so much more difficult to be able to execute on that when you look on the opposite side. I don't have a mid laner that's going to be waiting for a couple of my items. I have a winning top lane matchup, and I don't have to worry about my bot lane for the time being. So this is a spot where I think GBC can very easily take this, but it's just so much easier, and it is more difficult, I think, for them compared to their opponent. This is a game where Olaf can really take care of this entire game. No one deals with Olaf very well from the side of Grumboy's Clique. So, Dwamni, if you want to stake your claim for 3rd best top laner, this is the game you have to win. The game where you get counterpick, where you're set up to win, enemy team can't do anything. This is the one you have to be able to put up or shut up.
We'll have to wait and see if Dwamni can rise to the occasion or not. As we get done with as we do this draft, we will have to send it to a spectator delay, but when we come back, it will be Grown Boys Clique and Marz and the 4 wards looking for that 4th place spot here in Blue Water Diamond League. So when we come back, we'll have that ready for you, and don't go anywhere. And we have loaded onto the Rift for Game 3 between Grown Boys Clique and Marz in the 4 Wars. We've got perhaps a little bit of a adjustment here from the side of Marz. They have seen this, seen Grown Boys Clique, I think, have gone for this ward just about every single time so far. So I do like this early stack here in this brush from Marz in the 4 wards, seeing if they can't catch anything out here.
Early invades. Hey man, if Belveth or Victor walk into this, they just die on the spot. There is no summoner spells that should be used. Wow. All right. Looks like they're not gonna fall for. Maybe Shanku.
He's started to. It's scary. It's like watching. It's like watching the horror movie when you see like the
They
main
don't know that they're
character
right
make
next to
mis-
each other, by the way, which is so awesome. I'm like flipping in between like Fog of War. They just don't know that they're there. They're both so close to each other yet so far. Didn't even ping out the ward, so they're not gonna see each other on that
That's
either.
a Funky Valley song.
So right now, I think we're just gonna get some pretty standard lanes. Our junglers starting on opposites or starting on the same sides, and they're all looking to end towards top. What we expect when we're talking about Drid, who opting for the Ignite this time. Belveth, a champion that has a ton of mobility, but not having that flash versus something that could be a little bit more dangerous, like a Xin Zhao or a Silas or an Olaf, can be very detrimental. We'll have to see if that actually turns into anything more aggressive. Aside from that, again, we're looking at Dwamni and Nutty Nate. Can he actually win on this Olaf counter pick?
I would say that it's pretty likely. I mean, already early on, we get a slight glimpse as to what that might look like. For a second there, I thought Crispton might not have been able to get that level 2, but that'll be fine for that. But yeah, obviously moving towards that top side of the map, I mean, expected. I mean, we were talking about this top lane matchup for probably the good solid like 4 minutes there in the draft, and for good reason. Dwamni perhaps not accelerating it as much in the first.
That's okay. I mean, look, all he has to do is just slowly whittle away at Gragas. They've systematically taken Gragas's sustain out of his kit like more and more with every nerf, just because it was so oppressive beforehand. And Olaf is also a champion that does thrive when he is on a little bit of lower HP members. So
way in maybe does get the Guardian off of Kraydog.
Okay.
At the very least, maybe that might be a point of interest.
All right, well, we'll have to see what else they can kind of get out of this. Now, both junglers are here, but already I love what Dwamni's doing. Pushes the lane, knows that he can't do anything other than stare at Nutty Nate from across the wave. So just moves down, gets vision, tries to spot where Drid is. Good job from Chris 10.
Will he be dragged under tower? Not quite there, and so will be. Okay, I thought for a second maybe. I thought for a second there Nahor may have gone a little bit too far, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, very, very close, playing on the margins. They know exactly where Drid is. He's already finished his 6 camps plus the scuttle on top side. His jungler is on this side of the map, and they can try to make an aggressive play onto Drid. Remember, they have Ignite here.
Going to hop
oh, they're going for
it. Going to pop Ghost, flash forward from pillar bottom. Knock is coming through. Drid low. Drid not quite going to go down, but it is quite.
Uh-oh, Nutty Nate though. Nutty Nate though.
Nutty Nate gets down to about half health. Drid should be able to keep that distance away, and we'll be fine.
Good stuff coming out from the side of GBEC. They're able to outplay in that situation. Gets the Ignite down just to cut down on a little bit of that healing and some of the combat prowess of the Olaf, but Nutty Nate individually, I think, played that really, really well. Saved the belly slam to make sure Marzion could look for a solo here as an electrocute.
This did have the electrocute go down already, and without any more damage remaining, Shanku going to get Marzion a bit lower. He's staying around. He is staying around.
He's got the level up.
Gets the heal. Finds the abductor on Marzion. Going to get that solo bow onto Shanku in a very dramatic fashion.
And a flash away from enemy mid. Now hold up. Now junglers are both here. Gets the heal. Oh my god.
Back up and just barely survived, and that's absolutely massive.
Does he land this last one? Oh, it's so close, but Nutty Nate didn't take a recall after the last one. He's going to be forced to this time. Gets the TP out from mid as well. Good job from Nutty Nate. You know, despite all of this, and you know, real quick, I am going to just take a look at the top lane wave because this looks It's not that bad. There's forecasters on both sides. It does look like it's going to just slowly push into Dwomni, which is not the spot you want to be in as Nutty Nate, but he's performing well in a counter matchup, only down 10, and hasn't really been able to give up a kill or an assist yet so far. So I think it's a perfectly fine spot if you're on the side of Grown Boys Clique. And I mean, Drid is still keeping the game at a pretty nice tempo. We're not really seeing too much from Pillar of Autumn. I have to see what happens in the next 3 minutes around mid lane, because now that Shanku doesn't have flash, right before they hit level 6, if maybe we get to see Marzion eke out a little bit of an experience lead, that could turn into a really big win for them where they could just kill Shanku on repeat.
Yeah, especially as he hits 6 now, we'll have access to that ultimate before before Shanku does. It's one of those, like, I don't know, to me it's just like kind of like just feels bad where like the Silas has your, oh well, now as I say that we get this back over, he's level 6, but Kraydog is here alongside Pillar of Autumn. No flash on Shanku, as you mentioned, but they aren't going to quite go for that just yet. Both supports moving up for these grubs. Marzion going to steal the way. He's going to find enough damage, but enough. I said a lot of damage, but not quite enough. And it is level 6 where Nutty Nate did find the explosive cask earlier, taking Dwomni low, and Nutty Nate's here. Ragnarok going to be popped, but not enough.
Here we go.
Counter on the counter gig on the backside does find that first kill due to the tower
shots. They can win this. Tower.
It's charging up so far. Perhaps just a little bit too far. I believe that was 4 tower shots in consecutive order there, getting more powerful. And there's not anywhere you can go as Nahor anymore. Going to try to find the way out on the Zenith Blade onto Kraydog, but that's the wrong direction. That's surely going to be a 4th kill going over to the side of Marz in the 4 wards.
Well, Dwomni himself was not able to find any kind of advantage. Good job from Nutty Nate to get level 6 there first and just, again, poke out on this Olaf. It was a great response from Pillar of Autumn, who now just gets 2 kills. Drid gets taken down during all of this, and they lose out on Grubs. This is the thing that we wanted to see from Drid. Can he get access to these topside camps? And we said it was going to be based around the topside matchup. Maybe not going the way that we expected, but still a good job. And look, they're going to just repeat this play. They know that they don't have ultimates.
They don't have them. Nutty Nate doesn't quite either just yet. Smite going to be used by Pillar of Autumn. Going to use the Lantern to hop out there now as they're together, but it's going to be a slight numbers advantage for the side of Grown Boys Clique. They pick up that kill. Once again, wait, this is Grown Boys Clique? Yeah.
I just don't know why we're staying there as Marz in the 4 wards. There's no reason. You already got the 2. Just call your bluff. Kraydog is able to escape at the end of that, but does turn into a kill for the side of Drid there.
Not available for Dwomni. Does have the Lantern to hop away, but still slightly scary moments here from the side of Marz in the 4 wards. Kind of just pushing a little bit too far over at the limit.
We're getting spicy with it. Kraydog immediately spawns. Okay, they need to get this wave under the turret. Like, this wave is too big. They don't know where Drid is, and they know that Nahor has been kind of just sitting and waiting here.
Oh, that's going to be
I don't know if you want this.
Landing, but now on the tower, explosive cask, not going to find anybody at all. Very fancy footwork on Kraydog to not get caught out there.
A fantastic job.
Keep it alive for now, but they've, honestly, it's a bit surprising that these teams commit so much towards this top side, especially Grown Boys Clique with Dragon available, and that's just going to hand that one over. It will at the very least be kind of, and not really trade worthy. Now that Marz picked up the two grubs there, so
yeah.
Neutral objectives wise, it's still very much Marz favored.
Kraydog actually going for a little bit of a different build. We tend to see this on champions like Pyke, or if you're playing Nunu for whatever reason, but going for the Symbiotic Souls. So he just wants to take those resets, get out of base, and show up on a side lane unexpectedly. Does mean that he's going to be a little bit faster. We'll see if Kraydog can kind of get into more interesting spots just because he has access to so much more movement speed. Dwomni, maybe they're just not having a good game right now. Like, despite the lead, despite the lane advantage that they should be having, the early lane was just so upset by having the junglers come through that now Dwomni doesn't know, hey, is jungler on this side of the map? My Xin Zhao's on bottom side doing bottom side camps. Can I afford to actually be up in the wave? Where is enemy support? Have they been showing on a wave? They're just not able to kind of, I think, squeeze too much. And 98 has so far really been doing a great job of slowly whittling away at this Olaf and maintaining a health advantage. So does mean that this is another wave that kind of gets crashed under the turret. Some of that will be missed by this Olaf. And so now it comes down to, look, we said, is Olaf actually going to be able to take the lead? Right now at 10 minutes, that's not the case. We kind of have to switch our gears. Can Marzion and Pillar of Autumn kind of put up a carry performance because they're the ones that are going to be the driving forces. Marzion now with the Leona ult, we should expect that to be a massive game changer coming into this next fight.
Yeah, I mean, being able to just go whenever the I mean, you see the opportunity. But you mentioned Pillar of Autumn and Dread. I'm not a fan of really Xin Zhao as being a good champion, just in general.
Fair.
With it so far, as things stand on this patch. So, I mean, if things stay as level as they are, I think it just slowly starts to go to the side of Grown Boys Clique if Marz and the forwards can't really capitalize on their early advantages. And as you mentioned, that Solar Flare that was available is going to get dropped. Imagine it was definitely
It was about to probably
timing
fall
out
off,
there.
so
Yeah.
So we've got Grubs spawning in 40 seconds. Already we kind of see that GBC mid support already take control of mid. They're going to move immediately into this top side. 80 carries have just kind of been farming out. We won't really, I think, see them until after this next Drake when we kind of finish our first items and kind of get to that point in the game. And look at what they're doing. This complete wraparound on the side of Grown Boys Clique. They're just going to walk in. Kraydog's going to die. He has no resistances.
Early going to go down, taken low. Finally does get taken, but there's some
evolve
support from both sides. Drid does get that evolve. You mentioned Pill of Water going, not quite down just yet. Down to about half health. Drid going to be taken up on that backside. But as all the while, that means Womni's
Marzion's full HP here.
Marzion is full HP, does get that first kill. Nutty ain't going to try to hop away. Does have the blast cone, and so will be fine. But still, overall, going to be slight advantage over to the side of Marz and the 4 wards in terms of kills.
He is putting his team on his back. It is the namesake of the team. Marzion so far ahead on the Silas.
But it will be talked.
Nutty
That's
nades.
not the explosive cast you want. He will be alive at the very least, but that was certainly not the play.
If the stream goes down, it's because the ultimate there just landed on
does find the way in. Death sentence does land into layer to CC, and it will be Shanku sent to the gray screen, and it's very good awareness from the side of Grown Boys Clique to pick that one out. And now it is 4-0-0 on Marzion.
3 kills in that entire play from Marzion on this Silas. Already has the proto belt, expecting them to be really strong. Don't know if they'll have time to kind of play for this Grubs. It's going to be a bit of a fast play. They're TPing immediately behind.
Going to be Marz, and Nahor is going to be.
He grabs the Leona ult,
away, which is a pretty good one still for now. But Teleport's also going to be coming through on the side of Grown Boys. But Shanku's here.
He misses it.
Does go down, but won't find much on that first ultimate from Marzion. But I don't think it'll matter too much. Nutty Nate going low, going down. On the other side, that does mean Drid will have free reign on Dwang. Needs a 1-for-1, but without both junglers, still Smites available.
Smites are both still up and available.
That sentence won't land, and that basically is a self-stun onto Kraydog, but it won't matter. First kill going over to the side of Marz and the 4 wards, and Marzion still going to push.
Look at Marzion right now, man.
Marzion, my goodness, he's out of mana, so he's going to have to back away, but still Marzion absolutely running the show here, and it is... Oh, what a night it is for Marzion.
Yeah, 5-0. They also get 4 grubs during that entire trade, so such a weird position in the game. We're talking about Olaf being weaker than the Gragas here, but this Silas and Xin Zhao, we kind of talked about it when it got picked. We're like, okay, the Silas should have a monster of a game, but these two, the melee duo of Marz and the 4 wards, are just running over this game. Drid, he's able to find a kill onto Olaf, and it just doesn't matter. There's too much stats. There's too much damage. Marzion's level 10 at this moment. If I kind of go check right quick, like, so I go and press, I'm looking at Marzion. He's just now level 10.
Kraydog, though.
Drid is
where you want to
level.
be. There's too many members, and there's just nothing you can do with 4 members there. Hold on, that's going to be the cleanse going to be dropped by Crisp 10 as well. That won't be available the next few fights, and so it's going to be some signs of life from Grown Boys Clique after what has been largely the Marzion show.
Anywhere that Marzion isn't is the place where GBC have to be. So hey, Marzion, he just made a TP commitment to that play. He shows top lane. That means Dragon's going to be ours. They also have the Rift Herald up and available, and I wonder if they're going to keep trying to make plays for this. I mean, Belveth finished on one item, has also the Ignite. I could see them very realistically going, but again, Marzion is there. They can't make the play for this. It's going to be the Riftchild going over to the side of Marzion and the 4 wards. And this is an okay spot. I think both teams not necessarily too unexcited about where they are. Marzion's very far ahead. This mid-jungle can take over. But the rest of the team for GBC, I think, holistically, is in a better spot. You know, their top lane's looking fine. Victor is always going to be able to scale. And eventually, this Jinx is going to be meaningful in a team fight. It just matters of, will it matter more than Marzion just 1v9ing a whole game?
I mean, I've seen some Silas nonsense in my days, so I do fully believe that Marzion. It's Marzion on Silas. We've seen a few of these games so far throughout the season. Pillar bottom will be spot out here, but it's still a slight numbers advantage to the side of Grown Boys. Going to be a little bit more careful there. I don't know if a lot of scary moments from the side of GBC as they start walking up. Dwamni going to pop the ghost, going to find his way onto Shanku. I don't think there's really much you can do here on the Victor. CC immune through the Ragnarok, and that's going to be a solo kill onto Dwamni. A little bit against her on the play there.
That's what we wanted to see. Look, we said the Olaf, no one deals with this champion on the enemy team. And while apparently Nutty Nate was able to kind of handle it for the time being, Olaf cannot. This guy is 0-3. Shanku is going to be very, very useless this game. The most he's going to be able to provide is upgraded Victor Death Laser, where it just slows everybody. That's it. That's as far as his utility is going to go in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you could say maybe if he stays alive long enough, he could bump out the damage. I mean, Victor does kind of have that capability, but still overall, I mean, there's too many options on the side of Marz and the 4 wards, so I imagine that will be a particularly viable option here for Shanku at the very least.
And he just keeps getting Leona ultimate. Even if he misses it, I respect that he always goes for it because he knows that it's almost always the right play. Also, the Sunlight passive they're able to apply, that kind of thing. So, Drid here, they're just controlling through mid right now. We do have Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. Rift Herald is going to be taken here in mid. So should be looking for them to try to take open this mid turret. Got to be careful. Yeah, right there. Really good use of the Flame Chompers.
Chompers, but Pillar of Autumn does have the ability to just say no to damage outside.
Double TP's coming in.
Double TP's coming through, but will it matter? There's too much damage placed down early on. Nutty Nate trying to find the flank, and it's just not enough through the exhaust. And it's still all inside Marz and the 4 wards. Nutty Nate, yeah, that's not quite where you want to be. Shanku, that's not where you want to be either with no more tower. And it's going to be 4 kills over to the side of Marz and the 4 wards. They continue to push this. You said they needed to try to find a way to accelerate this one. Well, a 4-for-nothing fight is certainly one way of doing that.
Yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. 4 grubs as well. They'll be able to recall, get ready for this next dragon spawning in 1 minute's time. What a great game from Marzion. I'll be honest, I keep getting all of these, like, every time we hear about this team, they're like, okay, Marzion's a great player. He's been doing good individually. But out of all the raffles that I've seen, he's been a player that hasn't really been able to super stand out. He's been someone that has been pretty decent. I think he also gets a lot of help from his jungler in certain cases. But so far, this game, and I think this series in general, Marzion has really kind of shown up in a really big way for his team. And this is what we want to see from teams that are so close to each other in the standings that, you know, this is the way that they kind of break into top 3, break into top 4 is by great performances like this.
Once more, Abduct. Not quite going to find the CC, but we'll get it from elsewhere, being the explosive cast onto Nutty Nate, but his Cray Dog is here. He will dodge that death sentence, but that just means Marzion can get close. That'll be yet another kill onto Marzion, who's now 8-0-3. Dwamni just going to be able to... He's just going to run down Shanku. There's not anything he can do.
They're just bullying him.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you see this. You see how much vision that the side of Marz and the 4 wards have it put down in bottom lane. One, it helps protect Marzion in case they decide to invest multiple members. He has tons of vision to be able to play with and, use perfect information. Dwamni does have flash.
Does use it.
And he wins. He wins this, by the way. Drid's dead.
Yeah, Drid's dead. Too many tower shots. And does get that kill traded back. Yeah, I mean, Dwamni's still not even going to be worth all that much gold either, so you can't say, well, big shutdown, so...
Yeah, you got the flash out from it, that's fine, and right now, Nahor and Nightmare just trying to play as aggressively as possible, but they just have to... Oh, God. Oh, there's the Leona ult. Oh, no. Well, that's going to be Dragon for sure. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. for Carbill's sake at least, if anything.
Is there a play that Carbill made that?
No, he just said that Nahor is the best support in the league. Or that's his
that's
best
right.
friend.
That's right. He did.
For Modern
he did
Talk
say-
this
yeah,
week.
yeah,
So
that's right.
Carbill, don't look. Okay.
I don't know how I forgot that at this point.
It's okay.
It's not like it's
Exciting
been too
stuff.
long.
We're kind of getting towards a point in the game where, you know, we were talking about it from game 1. The game's kind of over condition. 8,000 gold in advantage here for Marz in the 4 wards. And I know we've been talking about it so much, but the fact that, like, Marz, their schedule doesn't get any easier. They've got TPF, who did end up falling to final boss today, unfortunately. Then they have Akuma.
Shanku. Yeah.
Shanku is dead.
There's just not anything. Wait.
Oh,
he's
he
alive.
lives.
Okay. Well,
Cool. But that means he has no
yeah.
flash.
No
So
flash
he's dead
and
again
no.
in 4 minutes.
Probably sooner than that.
Yeah,
I'd say.
but at least once. At least once
He'd be
within the next
dead
4 minutes.
within the next 4 minutes.
Yeah, within the next 4 minutes, the bounds are he probably dies here. Setting up for Baron is going to be really hard just because they do have Olaf and Jin. Jin, not a champion that is notoriously very good at taking objectives, but this Olaf is also not in a good spot either. So might be a little bit slow on objective takes. Really what this Baron is mostly going to be is a staging ground. Can they get a teleport? Can they force Drid into an awkward position where he has to overextend himself and then they can kill the enemy jungler? But really we're kind of just waiting for
They're
dragons
already
at this
hop
point, or picks
forward,
like this.
So won't have that mobility away, and he just doesn't have the. He's just gone.
Ha!
Yes, he's
Drid's dead.
just gone. I don't know how to say that. Drid as well, probably going to go down as well. Flash forward from Pillar of Autumn just to secure it. Nothing you can do there as Drid. So 2 kills over to the side of Marz on the 4 wards. You have to think that surely that means Baron's going over to the side of Marz.
Yep, they get 2. They have pressure on the bot side right here. You see Shanku's just like, okay, I'm going to try and push the wave halfway. Never mind, Marzion is here and has the electrocute. So Baron, hopefully for free. Nightmare does have the ultimate, and I like that Kraydog was kind of standing in front, but it's really kind of the only way they're going to be able to get back on this is maybe they can try to find one single pick. That's going to be the silver lining for them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but there's no Super Mega Death Rocket available on Nightmare,
Yeah.
so yeah, there's not much you can really do to maybe find a miracle steal or pick or anything there, and it's just going to be more Marz in the 4 wards dominance here.
And kind of taking a look for Grown Boys Clique, regardless of win or lose today, they will be going up against Omega Goobers next week, Elysium, and then Akuma. So big matchup in Week 8 for both of these teams. Week 7 for Marz are going to be going up against Akuma. Week 8 for Grown Boys Clique. Those are going to be matchups that really, really define where they are, because right now I think a lot of Blue Water Diamond League is how good are you compared to Akuma? And Akuma right now are doing this weird thing where they just absolutely run it down. It's so frustrating to watch that team, because they will
It's
just
the
run it
Akuma
down.
way.
They win one team fight and then the game's over. And it's just like, why? Why does this keep happening? And so you kind of have to use them as a barometer, because when they're playing really well, they look like and are the most dominant team in the league.
Oh, no.
No way. No way this happens
No.
again.
No. I
No.
don't believe it. I refuse to believe. It's just a pause. It's just a pause, Copium.
Cope. It's just a pause.
It's just a pause, Copium.
I wonder what's causing the spectator delay or a spectator bug, because this is really sad. I wish this
Yeah.
would stop happening, but
I mean, at the very least, it's probably going the way of Marz in the 4 wards. Yeah. Gosh. I mean,
cool.
what do you even do
All right,
at
we're
this
gonna give
point?
this a few. We're just gonna give this a few. Maybe a weird bug, but more than likely, this is a spectator client breaking, and we're probably not gonna see the end of this game. Kind of just an unfortunate byproduct of working with a slightly unstable client. Riot Games, please, I'm begging you. If we just finish, we finished one game today. If we could finish a second one, oh, we got gameplay.
Okay, yes, it may have just
We're
been a pause. It may have actually just been a pause. Oh,
All right, we're
okay.
back. We're so back. Okay.
oh, my heart sank there. So
Okay, all right. So while we still have gameplay going on, let's talk about the fact that this is and should be Marz and the Forwards taking what is should be their third win. If I remember the stand, yeah. So
Yes,
they'll
it'd
be
be
at
their third
3-2, which means that they'll be tied with Grown Boys Clique. They'll have the head-to-head. They'll have the points. So that means that it'll be Marz and the Forwards in fourth, and Grown Boys Clique. They still got to be able to kind of get through this last kind of hump for the end of the game.
I mean, you say get through it, but I mean, every single like the last, I'd say probably 8 minutes has just been increasing the pace over to the side of Marz and the forwards. Been pretty dominant. I mean, if there is a way Grown Boys Clique, I mean, at this point, if you are Grown Boys Clique sitting down 11,500 gold, I mean,
Game's over.
yeah, I mean, you say what can Grown Boys Clique do? It's honestly at this point, it's like what does Marz and the forwards?
I mean, my
do to
Jinx
get
just
this
does
one
no
away?
damage, unfortunately. I'm just now seeing this. My Jinx and my Victor do no damage, which was a worry we were going to have coming into this game. Because remember, theoretically, they shouldn't have access to topside camps. Drid should not be ahead at any moment. And Shanku should always be getting kind of punished, and rightfully so he was, by Marzion. But we're just not seeing any of the damage come through. When you're behind on Victor, you just never have that damage. You're never going to have any items. And for Nightmare, going for a build that's going to take a really long time for them to kill someone. I mean, going for Kraken Slayer PD, eventually you'll kill someone after like death of 1,000 paper cuts, but after that, like the fight's already over. You've killed one person, cool, we've killed 4 of your team.
I mean, yeah, there's a reason why lethality Jinx has been something that's been rising in popularity. I mean, not only no.
It's okay. It was a
It's
bug
just a
last
pause.
time.
It's a
It's
pause.
okay. It's just a pause. We just have to be patient with this one. There we go. Thank you to our observer.
Yeah.
Thank you to observer producer Braku for giving us the full-on zoom out here. But
yeah, but
from this position, right? You're gonna say,
from
Isaac.
you know, we're going back to the Jinx build, and it's just like how long it takes at all for Nightmare to really start to do any damage. I really think that like most like traditional crit 80 carry builds are dead for a reason, because it's just so expensive at this point, and Jinx, without having any sort of damage from the rest of the team, I think I would have much rather seen that Collector, because Collector got really cheap all of a sudden this patch. Remember, what did it go down to? It was like 28, 29 and a half, 29 and 2.9k, I think, ish, about. What was the exact number? I don't quite remember. I know it got a big for Collector. It got a huge price reduction.
I thought they nerfed this item.
It was 10 AD, but it's also like I want to say.
Yeah, so it's 30. So the total cost. So on this patch, total cost is increased from 3,200 to 3,400, and lethality is reduced.
Have I just gone illiterate? I think this
I
is
don't
what I may have just gone illiterate. I just may have
Maybe.
forgotten what numbers are. What the hell? Or I'm just blind. Or what did I see then? I thought I saw some.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. So currently we're waiting. I think the game is over because my League client has opened, and I'm not seeing anything on my screen. So I'm gonna go view profile. Gonna go ahead and open up some Dwomni on my on one of my monitors here. Okay. I think this game is chalked. So should we just announce the winner? I think we're
Yeah, I think at this
All
point.
right, cool. Congratulations to Marz and the 4 awards. They've done it. They got the win at the end of the day. It looks like Marz ended up going 11-0, so another 3 kills from where we were able to leave off at the very end of the game. But this game is already chalked. 13,000 gold for them, and a great win for them, especially as Marz and forwards. They will move up to 4th, and we're kind of finishing out a lot of our games already for Week 5. We're one more. We're kind of one series. I think we're waiting on one last series to kind of finish out, and then we'll be done for the week. But still, a fantastic performance from everyone involved, and I think a really good showing for Marz and the forwards, especially if they want to try to build a case for being a top 2, top 3 team.
Yeah, and not only that, Marz and the Four Words were kind of a team that started off kind of slow.
Yeah.
That and so the fact that they've been able to build into this and kind of hit where we somewhat I mean, I don't know if expected to be, because I remember my initial like ranks. I didn't have them high up, but I mean, Marz and the Four Words were a tough team to read for like the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I mean, facing a opposition, I mean, Grown Boys Clique are no pushovers, and so to be able to come down in such a relatively convincing fashion, at least in the 2 wins that they did. In their wins, they won in very dominant fashion. So to do that against one of the top teams, hey, Marz and the Four Words making the name for putting their names on the map.
Yeah, and for Grown Boys Clique, I don't think it's going to be the last that we see of them, obviously. Still obviously
Oh, no,
have
of
the
course
rest of
not.
the season, but just not, I think, the performance they would have wanted, especially coming off of a win from last week. We'll see what else they can do. Their hopes are not dashed quite yet. They're still in 4th place. They're going to be able to hold that alongside, or they're still in 5th place. They're still going to be able to make playoffs. And again, their schedule, while not the easiest, it definitely has some layups. I mean, you have Art of War in week 9. I think the Elysium matchup could be easy in week 7. It's just Omega Goobers and Akuma. Taking wins against either of those teams, I think, would do a lot for public perception and how we're feeling about them going into playoffs, especially that week 8 matchup. If they can perform really well up against Akuma, we have a potential that our top 4 table is looking very, very strong next to each other.
Well, I have to look forward to it for next week, but until then, we will all say thank you here for Blue Water League for tuning into this week's Diamond matchup. I've been Isaac, alongside me, Alk Battery, and behind the scenes, Wiki Monster wasn't quite available to make it, so thank you, Braku, for tuning in and producing the show for us. And have a good night. We hope to see you again soon.